Run for your life. Run for your life.
People have posed the question, which country is the best? It's a question that the Olympics have tried to answer, the World Cups have tried to answer, and even in the world of motorsports, the Race of Champions has tried to crown a victor. For almost 10 years here on the iRacing service, the World Cup of iRacing challenged drivers across the globe to prove themselves as the best. Last year, the stakes were raised as the VCO Cup of Nations offered a £7,500 prize pool to determine its inaugural champion. The competition returns bigger than ever before, with 16 stacked teams and $25,000 on the line over 2 days of racing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to the 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. Happy you can join us here on RaceBot TV, VCO, and TraxionGG, where Paul Smith and John Munro join myself, Arjuna Kankipati, as we get set for a thrilling weekend of action. And Paul, what fun it was last year when Team Germany came out on top. This time around, though, the competition is even stiffer. I think we've got some of the most talented drivers, not just on iRacing, but across of sim racing. This should be a treat for all those watching.
Yeah, absolutely. This promises to be an absolutely tremendous competition. And, well, given how exciting last year was, I think this year is going to really step it up a level here. I can't wait for this. I'm so excited. Let's get going with it.
And John, happy you can join us here on RaceBot TV. You're someone who's seen a lot of different things across the simulators. You've done some racing in the real world as well. We've got some really interesting track and car combos. But the most important thing when it comes to that is the fact that the teams, the drivers, they didn't find out what these combos were until 2 hours ago.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited by this format. I think it's going to be a great weekend's racing. But yeah, as you say, when it comes to sim racing, normally the one thing that differs it from real life is you can put in hundreds and hundreds of laps, learn every braking zone, every corner off by heart. But for these drivers, it's going to be so difficult because they've had such little time for preparation. It's really going to show us who can adapt the quickest.
And that's what we see with the VCO Pro Sim Series over the month of November. Some great, incredible stuff over the 4 races that we had. Here's a look at the format. 2 days, 16 teams will be whittled down to 10 today. The group stages, 3 races leading into the playoffs, where we'll see the 6 teams left to battle it out to try and get their final 2 spots into the playoff competition. Semi-finals tomorrow, last chance qualifiers, finals, so many races on. And because there are so many races, Paul, these races, pretty short, pretty crazy. It's going to be hectic out there.
Yeah, it's going to be thick and fast racing, and that's exactly how we want to see it here today. And the pressure is on these drivers. You know, everybody's going to be absolutely on the limit of adhesion and what is considered to be fair or nefarious out there on track. So definitely, we're going to see some intense action.
Well, let's also talk a little bit about the groups. We've got 4 groups of the 16 teams. So it's going to be mixed up, John, and we were talking about this yesterday. It's not just about fighting with the other cars on the track. You need to make sure that you're in the right position as compared to the other competitors in your group, because you will be scored points overall, but ultimately you're competing today in these first 3 races with the 3 other teams in your group.
Yeah, it's a fascinating dynamic. I'm really interested to see if the teams and drivers actually react during the race to the teams around them. So, you know, whether the team that's directly in front of them is actually in their group, whether that makes a difference to the way they race them. But, I mean, this format is so unique. It's going to be a totally new thing for the drivers to have to try and pay attention to. And I'm sure some of them will just ignore that, go flat out for the victory, while some of the other teams will maybe be thinking more about what's going on around them and driving to that. It is going to be absolutely fascinating and pretty tricky, I think, for everyone to keep an eye on. But obviously, I'm sure you guys during the races will do your best to keep everyone in the loop.
Oh, I just remember last year the live point situation, especially it went all the way down to the wire in that final for Team Germany to come out on top. While qualifying is underway, 6 minutes left on the clock, let's talk you through the groups. And Group A has your defending champions with the red line contingent competing for Germany. But Paul, I think Portugal's got a stacked lineup. Hungary, Czech Republic, also some very strong lineups. I don't think there's a clear favorite at this point in time.
You know, usually at the Football World Cup you have one group which is known as the Group of Death. And my goodness, this is a stacked group right here that we have on screen. Germany, Portugal, I mean, they are the favourites, but you can never write out Hungary or Czech Republic here in this first group, Group A. It's going to be tough to really judge who will get through automatically here in this group, but I do have to say the favourites for me are the reigning champions in Germany.
Then you've got Group B, where you find the United Kingdom, Jamie Fluke, Charlie Summers, Peter Berryman, James Pinsker. I think they're potentially one of the favourites in this group. But you've got Japan, drivers with plenty of real-life experience across of their lineup. The Netherlands don't have Martin van Luzenoord in their lineup. They've been, he's under the weather, unfortunately. Oscar Koper, a very last-minute replacement, joined this morning, so he has no idea what he's getting himself in for, but we know just how strong the Netherlands can be. Those bonga drums for Ruben Bonga going to be leading the charge there. And then Norway, Sindre Setsoth, of course, a World Championship driver, but then the young Oscar Bixrud, the experienced Jarl Tyen, plenty of experience there. And Group C, Paul, equally fun as well. That's the great thing. I think we have really the strongest lineup we've ever seen in this Cup of Nations.
Yeah, certainly. You look at that France team and it's a smorgasbord of talent there. USA, yeah, that's not short on talent either, with a certain Phil Denez in that team. Poland, you can never write them off. They're always in there and will battle their way. They're a hard charging team and they're not afraid to make some moves. And then, of course, our friends from Australia with, hopefully today, I'm touching wood here, the luckiest person in sim racing, hopefully, in Bo Albert.
He's got to have some luck go his way, and with a Rallycross race on today's agenda, I have no doubt that that's where Bo Albert will be. Group D, the final of our 4 groups. You've got Italy with 3 World Championship drivers in 2022. That's going to be a quick lineup. Only Simona Maria Marcheno, not a World Championship driver there. Spain is Carlos Fenolosa, Pedro Sanchez Albert, Victor Preto, Jose Soria. Russia, Alexei Nesov, Formula 4 driver in the real world. He's also got some GT experience under his belt. Plenty of other quick drivers there. Belgium, Kenny Roosen, Sasha Gorla. We've seen them recently, just how quick they can be in some of the BMW virtual competition. 4 interesting groups, 4 stacked lineups. And John, I'm going to ask you just before we head to what would hopefully be a really strong starting grid here, because the times are coming in thick and fast. You can't really play favorites in this one because there's qualifying for this race, but after this, grids get determined by the results of previous races, the standings in the groups. You need to nail qualifying right now to make sure you're in a good position for the rest of this competition.
This is such a crucial 5 minutes for these drivers, because not only is it just about nailing qualifying, you've also got the Hungaroring, which is a track notoriously difficult to make overtaking happen on. And all the drivers are going to be so closely matched and competitive. I think this qualifying session could end up having an impact come the final. It's that important, you know. These guys have really got to get their act together here, because I think we're going to see a frantic race, especially in the middle of the field, as drivers trying to work their way forward. So the further up you can get, the further away from potential carnage you might be, the better your chances are going to be.
And you'll notice on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see what country each of the drivers are in by the flag on the tower itself, but also the background denotes which group they're in. So watch to see where relatively cars are placed against one another within their own groups. That is going to be the vital thing to keep track of. We'll give you live standings as they come, thanks to our team, Jerome Kaiser and Randy Cheneth, working behind the scenes on race control and all things Cup of Nations here. It's 2 minutes left in the qualifying session. Phil Denez now just over a tenth quicker than Valentin Mandinok. This is, Paul, the only team race we're going to have. 40 minutes with a mandatory driver change. Going to be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, that's you want to try and get the two drivers that match their style together. You won't be able to change any setup because it is a fixed setup, so you've really got to find two drivers that maybe work together well and really mix them up. You know, do you put your two fastest drivers in one car and then the other two who maybe aren't quite as quick in the other car, or do you mix the two fastest between the team to try and give you a big sort of overall average score? So it's an intriguing aspect, is this team race. And speaking of the team race, you've got teammates who are normally partners going up against each other on track. Alta Sea Sports, of course, 3 drivers for 3 different nations here. Oscar Koper, by the way, who you pointed out, teammate of Kenneth Gulbranson, well, they're in opposite nations.
And that's one of the other things that I love about this format, John, is the fact that you get drivers competing against each other when they're usually used to working with each other. But by the same token, drivers for the same nation, for example, USA, 4 drivers, 4 different teams, having to come together and figure out how each of them, where they're stronger, where they're weaker, and how they can maximize their performance over the course of this weekend.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic, as you say, and it's going to be, you know, a real test for these drivers to try and work with drivers they may not have worked with before. But then you think of other sports, you know, such as football, and you get a similar kind of thing. Everyone gets used to the players they play with at their club, but then when it comes to fighting for your country, you might be with people you know, it might be people you don't. And yeah, that dynamic is going to be interesting. I think the drivers are going to have to put their allegiances aside and focus on their own nation for this tournament. But, you know, at least, you know, drivers who are actually teammates in other series will maybe know how the other drivers race, how they defend, how they attack, so can maybe use that to their advantage. I mean, there is of course prize money up for grabs here as well, so the drivers will want to take this seriously and try and do the best job they can for their country.
$25,000 on the line. The winning team will walk away with $10,000 to be split across of their 4 drivers. So not a bad payday for what is a very fun competition that proves always. Both last year when we had sim racers compete in the inaugural VCO Cup of Nations, but also earlier in 2021 when the pro drivers, real-world drivers, got their own taste of Cup of Nations competition. Qualifying comes to a close. We are ready to take a look at the starting grid for the first of what is going to be 4 races to kick off this weekend of World Cup action. What a day it will be, starting of course with this Audi R8 GT3 car at the Hungaroring. So let's dial up the starting grid and take you through the 32 cars that will run us through 40 minutes of action. USA and the UK on the front row. Phil Denez with a 142.698, but the benchmark down, just over half a tenth behind the nicest man in all of sim racing, Jamie Fluke, with Valentin Mandinok and Peter Berryman on row 2. Great qualifying performance for the UK. Both of the Apex Racing drivers putting their car up in the field. So Tomuto, Alexei Nesov, 5th and 6th positions. Quarter of a second separating the top 3 rows, with Poland and Germany 7th and 8th, defending champions not having the best of qualifying to get their defense started. Spain and France edge of the top 10, with Maximilian Beneke, Mr. iRacing, back in 11th alongside Yuri Kastorp in the 2nd of the Netherlands car. Moreno Sarica and Przemysław Lemenek 13th and 14th positions. Jaden Laydick and Jarl Tyen 15th and 16th, with the young Dylan Burst, 14 years of age, alongside Dylan Becky Shrivens, row number 9. Victor Prato and Ruben Bonga on the edge of the top 20, with Kenneth Gulbranson, David Toth, Belgium and Czech Republic through the top 24, with Ross Banfield in the number 323 for the USA, back in 25th position. Alongside him, it will be Dmitry Kovanov for Russia. Belgium, Sasha Gorley and Martin Sirotek alongside one another, with Hungary and Portugal through the top 30. Shinsuke Kuno and Simona Maria Marcheno, after being told off in qualifying for apparent brake dragging, he's got a lot of work to do from the tail end here. And Paul, this is a tight, twisty track. I am really not sure how things are going to go here on lap number 1.
Well, I mean, you're going to see a lot of moves down into turn number 1 and then down into turn number 2 as well. Turn number 1 is the favourite place to make that move here today, because that is really the key overtaking opportunity. If you're a bit brave, you can maybe throw a move down the inside of turn 4, but you've got to have a lot of cooperation from the other drivers there. So it could be a bit of carnage on lap 1. Turn 12, that's an overtaking opportunity, which is into this corner that we see right here. But again, it's not always on as this one.
Fixed setup, so it's a high downforce setup. How is that going to play? I think some of the drivers were saying there's some draft to be coming into effect here today, Paul.
Potentially, yeah. So, you know, you're going to be on a high downforce setup. It's going to be tough. You're going to get that slipstream, that's for sure, but you don't really get the opportunities to use that slipstream round here.
We are ready to determine the 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations, powered by VCO, underway at Hungary for 40 minutes of racing. It's a good start from Vildenez, who gets the launch 3 abreast, battling for 3rd position. Already Alexei Nesov has made his way up into 4th, fanning themselves out on the run down into turn number 1. Can we get through there safely? Oh, Japan's gotten into Russia, Germany and Italy. Oh, almighty carnage to kick things off, Paul.
Well, we said it could be carnage into turn number 1, and unfortunately it's on the exit of turn number 1. Oh, watch your rejoins there in the middle of the straight. They're down towards turn number 2. Everybody else working their way through. The front lot, the front 6 are trying to make a getaway. There's a car off there on the exit of turn number 4. It's going to be one of the UK cars, Peter Berryman.
From 4th down to 27th. That is going to be frustrating, and it continues as they work their way up the hill in towards turn 4. Believe that was Alexei Nesov in the Russia car. Still on the exit of the hairpin, it's all coming to blows. Australia side by side. I believe that's with the Netherlands car for 13th position. Dylan Burst side by side with Ruben Bonga. Oh, and then, oh my word, it's still going on. Who's that? Who's that off the track?
That's Bonga. So,
wow.
I mean, come on. Everybody should know that it's cold tyres on lap 1. This is ridiculous. I mean, I know there's national pride at stake here, but, you know, calm down, chaps. There's another 38.5 minutes to go here.
Pit stop window between 15 and 25 minutes as the second of the Norway cars. That's Kenneth Gulbrandsen side by side with Jaden Leidick in 13th and 14th position. Here comes the move from David Toth down the inside, gets 1, tries to get a 2nd, around she goes. Well, it continues. Oh, I don't even know how many cars we've had around here on lap 1.
Well, well, at the moment, basically, look at the back half of the grid, and that's where you're seeing those cars that have had issues out there today. One team that would have wanted to have done really well here is, of course, Hungary, on their home track here for this first race, and that really doesn't help them, dropping all the way down David Toth to last place.
Think he's had to come down onto pit road, as has Dylan Burst, Yuri Kastorp. So that's Netherlands, Australia and Hungary that all find themselves on pit lane trying to get some damage repaired. Down the inside, that's Russia getting the move done on Portugal. Alexei Nesov trying to recover, getting past Andre Martins, Martin Siratek and Peter Berryman now behind him. Take a breath, relax, and remember, we've still got 3 races to go after this one, because I have a feeling if this is what a 40-minute race is looking like, can you imagine what 15 minutes in a playoff is going to look like?
That was contact behind, I'm sure of it, and I'm sure it was one of the Italian cars that went around at turn number 4. It was Marciano. Simone not having a good day out there. Look at the front of that UK car as well. It's battered and bruised for Pete Berryman. But this is what we're going to have now. We're going to have cars that are trying to work their way through the field here, and that's going to be intriguing to see, because you're going to have some faster drivers trying to make their way past a notoriously difficult track to overtake at.
And so I can tell you, in terms of drivers that are still on pit road, it is the Netherlands, Australia and Hungary. Alexei Nesov, Peter Berryman in the Russia and the UK cars, they're down 14th and 18th positions respectively. Moreno Sorica in one of the Italian cars, he's down 11. Patrick Holtzman in the Germany number 113 for today's race, he's down 18 positions. So plenty of cars having issues getting started here. It includes our defending champions. Here comes a move to the inside from Valentin Mandanuk potentially as he tries to get around onto Poland. Oh, sorry, excuse me, that's Johan Hoff trying to get the move done on Dominic Blair. working themselves side by side in through the second of the hairpins. Mounting himself onto the curb was Blair, but holds on. Johan Haas got some work to do to get on past and up into the top 5.
Yeah, and we've seen how aggressive Johan Haas can be as well as a racer. He is somebody who's not shy in going forwards, that's for sure. Here's Italy going around the outside, which gives you the inside on Czechia. Oh my goodness, gets bumped out the way on the exit of turn 4. I'll tell you one team that I don't envy, that's our stewards team. Good luck for the first few laps here.
Yeah, we will have live race control, so poor Randy Cheneth and Jerome Kaiser, they're going to have their, they're going to be busy for the next 35 minutes or so trying to pick apart what's going on here. Holtzman deep under the brakes, but I think Siritek basically gave him the position there, realized no point fighting when they're already 20 seconds behind your race leader. Not what you expect from the Germany team, which, let's be honest, Paul, it really is the Team Redline team here today.
It certainly is, isn't it? They've really got that team. But look at the state of that Germany car, though. It's stoving in at the front. The right rear is all damaged as well. So that's going to have a serious effect on how they do drive here. And, of course, at that pit stop, if they do have any repairs that are mandated, they will have to sit there until those mandatory repairs are done.
Yeah, no fast repair to bail you out of what was a crazy, chaotic lap 1. I think the second Australia car has been mixed up in something as well. I see Griffin Gardner is... Oh, excuse me, never mind. I think he was just trying to get into the car that Dylan Burse had rolled himself out of. Unfortunate for them, that's the 331 is still battling through turn 1. 5 minutes done in this Cup of Nations. Belgium aggressive on the defense as Alexei Nesov now switches back to the outside line, and what a move, as you can see the standings on the right hand side. Nesov gets a bit pushed wide by Gorla, now opens the door for the Hungary car behind, but look how close it is in some of these groups. Portugal and Germany separated by 2 points. Group C dominating today's race so far.
Yeah, absolutely. France, USA, Poland, they find themselves up there in those standings. I mean, you look at it, Poland, they're 5th and 8th at the moment in this race. But of course, we do have that driver swap to take part and to take into account. So I wouldn't expect things to just sit like this for the rest of this race.
No, I definitely wouldn't. And in Group C in particular, I think Australia is already now very much almost out of the equation. We've got 2 races to go, yes, but given what we've seen now, you can't afford to be trying to work yourself back. You need to make sure you're on the front foot heading into these next 2 races. They might be heading to the playoff, which will be the Porsche 992 at Monza. Equally chaotic, equally helter-skelter sort of a race. We'll see exactly how things play out as behind the USA car, Russia and Belgium still squabbling it out side by side. Remember, those are 2 cars in the same group, so it's not just track position. These are points in the group on the line. And Gorla gets into the quarter panel of Alexei Nesov, and Nesov once more is around.
Oh my goodness, they just didn't... It was a bit ambitious. You don't really see a move happen through the final corner at this track. You really want to try and set it up on the exit of that corner to then give you the run down the start and finish straight and into turn 1, which is where we see Pete Berryman try and make the move on Hungary. But right now, Hungary fighting back, so... Berryman, he's got the Portugal car of Martins, he's got Marina Sirica of Italy behind as well. My goodness, this is tight, but this is how desperate people are to try and automatically qualify for tomorrow.
There was definitely a touch there. Berryman got a little bit squirrely, allowed the Hungary car of Christoph Kerekes to hold on. Moreno Sirica, Andre Martins, Italy and Portugal right behind us. Ooh, there was a look there from Martins, I think more in defense, as here comes Patrick Holtzman to the inside of Ruben Bonga. I think Bonga's covering him off, heading down into the chicane where you need to be careful. You can't afford to go too wide through there. You'll just cost yourselves a whole heap of time. I don't know how many of these cars, Paul, are factory fresh. A lot of them showing some battle scars.
Yeah, never raced or rallied one lady owner. It's certainly not going to be that case with these cars. These drivers are driving the wheels off of these, and they're pushing as hard as they can. Bonga, he's not going to make any moves. He's not close enough there to the Portugal car, and so he's going to have to be patient here and try and move forward in all of this. But you got to bide your time. Set it up. This is where you need to be a little bit quicker. Set it up around this final corner. try and get the good exit. The crucial point is the exit, and look at that, the cars just separate out again. So no moving forward, and this is one thing that can happen if you have the same setup which all of these drivers have here. It's a fixed setup race. You can end up, if you're in a slipstream train, just getting stalled out.
Absolutely. 1 second clear, by the way, is Phil Dinez from Jamie Fluke. So top 5 starting to be broken up. Valentin Mandanuk is coming under pressure from Sotomito in the Japan car. Dominic Blair further second back, so not really too many changes, at least since lap 1 and the almighty chaos that we did see. There's the Japan car into the chicane, hunting down the World Championship driver Valentin Mandanuk. Just finished his Force Dynamics Dallara iRacing Grand Prix Championship campaign for Romain Grosjean Esports. Now partnered with the likes of Maxime Brient, Johan Harth in the Apex Racing team, as I think one of the Belgium cars has had it off. That's Jonathan Poulet. Well, what are you saying, Paul?
That was a little bit of contact between the two of them, between Bonga and Holtzman.
Look at that rear wing.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was like that before Holtzman got into the back of his car, but Bonga doing the best as he can. Now, that car will be handling like a pig, that will. That rear wing being in that shape, it will not be helping matters. Liberal use of the track limits. I mean, I won't get on my soapbox here because we'll be here until about 10:30 tonight if I start talking about that. But yeah, Holtzman wants to get past, and he's just getting a little bit frustrated, I think.
Yeah, no, and you can see now, looks to the inside. We've already seen some contact. Bonga shuts the door on Patrick Holtzman. Holds on for now, but sure, you can see just how loose that car is. Must be pretty light in the rear end, especially given that the front is pretty dinged in as well. Here comes Holtzman with the draft, the run down in towards turn number 1, laid on the brakes, and Patrick Holtzman promotes himself up into 22nd position. Bonga tries the over-under and gets it done. What a defensive move there.
And that is the benefit of that corner being like that. Yes, the other car gets to the inside. Holtzman looking to the inside, and around goes Bonga. Now, question is, was there contact, or is that due to the damage to the rear wing and he's just lost the rear end? I don't know, but well, high drama further down your order, but that does mean that Holtzman finds himself a position higher up.
Meanwhile, up front, it's not just Japan and France going neck and neck. Here is the second of the French cars, Johan Harth, the 2020 iRacing Rallycross World Champion, has Poland in front of him, and behind him, Mr. iRacing, Maximilian Beneke, highest rated iRating driver in the entire field. And of course, not just the field, but across of the iRacing service for road course competition. Let's take a look at the replay. I think there's contact. Hard to tell from that angle, but it's a bit of a lunge. Daniel Ricciardo would be proud of that one.
It was a lunge, that's for sure, but yeah, the way that car moved, it does look like just the slightest. But that's it. When you're on the brakes, you know, all the weight transfer goes over the front wheels. The back wheels are light up in the air, almost. You know, they're not really touching the track that much. It just takes the slightest of contact, and around it'll go. And that's exactly what's happened here. But my goodness, what a fight for the ages that we have here. Johan Harth and Max Beneke, what a 6th and 7th place, and Poland by pace, and I will say that by pace, are in 5th place and are doing a sterling job there.
Yeah, it's not like Dominic Blair has gained as a result of all of the carnage. He's only +2 as compared to even Johan Harth, who's +4, so you say on pace. That's what we're seeing here today. It's not just the names that you may be familiar with, the likes of Johan Harth, Jamie Fluke, Max Beneke, etc., but this competition is going to show you some of the various drivers that really have the speed and can extract it from a fixed setup competition. For example, Sotomito, who is I think a lot of the hardcores will know who he is, Paul, but maybe some of the newcomers might not.
I mean, Sota, I've always been impressed with Sota. He is a tremendous driver, and he's really come up through the ranks of sim racing, and he is one to keep an eye on, that's for sure. He is a tremendous talent, and you know, he's leading the Japan team here in this race here so far, and doing a sterling job in 4th place and keeping the pressure on Mandanuk in front.
Pit window won't open this lap, it will open next time around, and this is where your driver combinations do start to come into effect, because 4 drivers not everyone is going to be as quick in each of these cars across of the 2 days as they are in the others. So you'll likely pair your two fastest drivers in different cars. You'll make sure that the slower drivers are accounted for. The question is, which of the slower drivers started, and will you get into the pits as soon as possible, Paul, or do you wait till the end of the pit stop window?
I think if you've got your fastest driver in, you try and get the most out of that driver. But you can counter that by saying, okay, let's have a look at the track. Let's see where everybody is. Everybody's bunched together. If you can get into the pits, early pit stop, get yourself some clean air. You can maybe jump one or two cars out there with that little bit of clean air and head down focus few laps there.
To give you the update on the points in Group A, it's Germany and Portugal that are about 30 points clear of the Czech Republic and Hungary. In Group B, UK and Japan sit in the first two spots. Norway not far behind. The Netherlands in a very difficult position, 18 points to their names as it runs. Group C, really close between France, USA, Poland, Australia, very much on the back foot, while in Group D, lowest scoring group potentially, Spain, Russia, Belgium and Italy. All very strong competitors, lots of racing yet to come. The second of the USA cars, Ross Banfield behind the wheel, coming under fire. He's got Hungary behind him, and I'm sure Hungary as well will be Peter Berryman to try and recoup some of the positions that he lost.
Yeah, he's trying to work his way through. If you do want somebody to do a bit of a hard charger run, then Peter Berryman is certainly one that you want behind the wheel. He is a hard charger. He knows how to make some overtakes, does Pete. And Johan Hart, France are onto pit road from the front of your field. Interesting early stop happening. USA and Great Britain, not Great Britain, United Kingdom. Let's include everyone. You're going
to get in trouble here, Paul.
Yeah, Jamie will be shouting at me, I'm sure.
Yeah, so pit road busy. Portugal, Norway, all onto the lane. Ross Banfield will be handing over to one of the other USA drivers. Oscar Bickford getting behind the Norway car. Diogo Pinto jumping behind the wheel, taking over from Dylan Shrivens. Quintin Vialate, oh, okay, taking over from Johan Hart. We've seen just how quick the young Frenchman can be. Drives for Romain Grosjean Esports. He was always part of the junior team when there were multiple RHE cars entered, but sometimes he was as quick as the non-junior car. Sindre Setsol's behind the wheel of the second Norwegian car, so plenty of driver changes. Dallas Pataska taking over from Ross Banfield there. Rest of the cars still out there on track. Dinez now 1.3 seconds clear. We know just how quick Phil can be, but it is great to see him in a field as strong as this qualify on pole and not look back.
And he's doing exactly the right thing. He's doing exactly all that he needs to do now. These drivers at the front. Around goes Karekas there for Hungary. That's down at turn number 4, I do believe. No, it's not. It's in the twisty section there. So that's turn 8, 9 sort of area. And yeah, it was turn 8 that he went off there. And I feel that he got a little bit of assistance, perhaps.
Well, we'll find out here. Is it going to be all on his own? You can see the Italy car is a little bit too far behind. No, he's on the grass, and yeah, you can't do that. You cannot do that, and I think fortunate not to back that up into the wall. France and Japan into turn 1 with some now lap traffic behind them, because it's a pretty lengthy stop here for the driver change. You're looking at about 1 full minute in pit lane itself.
I am correct, though. It was assisted by the grass. So, yeah, well, we've seen Germany now. Max Benneker onto pit road. He's handing over to Alexander Tiber. Russia, the other Germany car as well, the other Russian car. And, well, they've just had the spin, and Hungary are on pit road with their second car. Netherlands as well. So there's a number of cars making the pit stops. Those at the front, though, as I was going to say, they've got the clean air at the moment. They want to stop as late as possible for these guys up at the front. They're just playing that sensibly. Whereas those that are in a pack, those that are in a group of cars at the field they are quicker than, they're the ones who go pit early and try and get that clean air.
And I forget to say, Peter Berryman, we should give him his props. Now an iRacing world champion, winning the Force Dynamics Dallara iRacing Grand Prix Championship. Had a great fight with Martin van Lozenoord over the course of 10 races. It came down to the wire. Berryman now an iRacing world champion in a year that's been pretty good for the Apex Racing team. John Robertson competing for Subaru Motorsports USA, but is an Apex Racing team driver, winning your iRacing Rallycross World Championship presented by Yokohama Tire. Here's Andre Martins for Portugal, 12th position, but yet to come down onto pit road. Alexei Nesov right behind him. Only 6 minutes left on the clock, so only about 3 laps to go before everyone will be forced to come down onto pit road. And I believe Dominic Blair in the Poland 341 has come as Andre Martins dives down onto pit lane himself.
Yeah, certainly. So the last few pit stops happening, and some teams have decided to just split it completely even, 50-50, split the race there, whereas other teams will look at how the lay of the land is as they're going along. So Alexander Tieber at the moment for Germany 2 is the leading car that has pitted. But you look right behind him there, under pressure. Quentin Violette doing a fantastic job for France, and he's keeping that pressure on all the way through this track.
And Alexander Thieber, very, very experienced, is feeling the pressure, feels the need to break the drafts, go defensive to the inside. Car coming out of pit lane, that's Poland. Mateusz Luczak has taken over there, but the steam has been built up for Alexander Thieber, who almost gets bumped into by Violette. Oh, just about got on the anchors there at the very last moment.
Yeah, it did well to actually avoid contact there as Tieber, well, he'll be focused in front. He's not looking behind him. He wants to get past that Poland car that's just fresh out of the pits. And, well, it's all about how efficiently you can do that driver change. And Poland do actually have the fastest pit stall stop time, as Jamie Fluke is now in, yeah.
That's early. Of course, he has a very quick teammate to hand that car off to. It'll be Charlie Summers for Burst Esport taking over from him. See exactly how it cycles out. I think Spain is also down onto pit road. Both of the cars, Carlos Fenolosa and Victor Preto, will be jumping out in their machines. Jamie Fluke rolls himself into the stall. Phil Denez now has about 2 laps in which to make his one and only pit stop as in through the infield section. Believe that is Alessandro Bico, the Williams Esports driver, hunting down Oscar Bixrud, but coming under fire from Dallas Pataska behind. And then you got the man in the aviators, James Pinsker behind. The 213 had some colorful liveries in the Force Dynamics Grand Prix Championship. Also had his aviators on for some of his racing. I know you like to wear the anti-glare glasses, Paul, but can you imagine sim racing with sunglasses?
I mean, if it works for him, it works for him. I'm not going to judge. It's certainly, you will see quite a few people wear those anti-glare glasses like myself. And it just helps reduce eye strain. And you know, if you've not got the anti-glare glasses, but you're finding that you're just maybe straining your eyes a bit, put the aviators on, think that you're Joe Biden, and away you go.
Surely they're worth a couple of tenses. Under fire is Poland. Alexander Thieber all over the rear end now as they climb up the hill in towards a very fast turn 4. Must be a pretty interesting corner in these GT3 cars to try and navigate your way around. Violette has a look to the inside, but just a little bit too far behind. 8 cars yet to come down onto pit lane. And surely it would be this time around for your race leader, Phil Denez.
They're on pit road. In fact, the top 4 are on pit road right now. So the final pit stops are happening. Australia, well, there's one. Jaden Ladich is staying out on track. He feels confident that he's got one more lap.
Well, it's partly that, but I recall seeing, because I've been spying on all of these teams and figuring out how confident they feel about each of these car combos. Bo Albert's going to be taking over from Jaden Ladich. He doesn't want to be driving this car. He's just waiting for the Rallycross action.
I think after the season that Bo Albert had in the iRacing IRX World Championship Series, I think that the Rallycross car would be the last car that he'd want to see, quite frankly.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, you were saying that for him, he had to get a bit more aggressive, and when he did get aggressive, he ended up taking out his teammate. So it didn't work out for him. Off of pit road, the 14-year-old Elvis Rankin has taken over from Phil Denez, 3 seconds clear of Maxime Brient. Where is the battle, though, for second and third? Because I think Charlie Summers is going to be quite close to Brient, and he is.
Yeah. You look at the timing screen, you can see there's a 1/10.5, 2 tenths between Briant and Summers as we'll look at the battle further down. So there you go, there's the net second place battle, and Team France have actually jumped Team United Kingdom here.
And now, I mean, Elvis Rankin can wave goodbye to the rest of the pack, because if these cars want to squabble, all it's going to do is let the 322 lead the way, clear the rest of the cars. It's now what? It's almost a 6-car train. You've got France, UK, Japan, Poland, Germany, and the second France car all within about 2 seconds of one another.
Yeah, France are having a really strong outing here in this first race, and although Japan going defensive has actually broken up that battle for that queue of cars, and Japan, well, they're currently looking like that they're taking the caravan down to the seaside on a bank holiday Monday. That queue of traffic behind, there goes the move to the inside for Tiba, not quite happening, and right behind him, Violette is just waiting patiently for any opportunity.
Hayata Asaka has taken over from Sotomuto. Quick in his own regard, he's 6,400 I rating, which is nothing to sneeze at, but Sotomuto really had the Audi dancing to his own tune as Bo Albert is in pit lane, is going to roll himself out of pit road further down the field, promotes the rest of these cars now up into 7th. Defensive from Asaga. Poland around the outside. Can he get it slowed down in time? Runs a little bit deep. I think Asaga has the inside. Alexander Thieber is saying, hello, which way do I go? He'll go the long way around on Poland.
And of course, this is the closest track on iRacing, well, one of the closer tracks on iRacing for Poland to be considered the home track. There's a few other tracks out there in Germany as well that will be relatively close to Poland as well. But dropping down to 5th place now, Japan getting that move done and staying ahead, and Tiba trying to make the moves, looking the long way around. He's got to be careful because there's that driver from France right behind him in Violette.
Given, though, what we saw on the opening laps, I like the patience from Thieber. Asaga almost gets it switched around, coming through the chicane. Poland takes advantage. Violette wants part of the action as well. Thieber gets forced wide, almost too wide, too deep. Thieber will hold on, but Poland has stolen 4th spot away from Japan.
You don't traditionally see many overtakes around that section, but my goodness, that's how to take advantage of a mistake. Speaking of mistakes, Oscar Bittrud for Norway. Little bit of a half spin, gets it back there, and there's France down the inside, and Tiba saw it last minute, dove out the way, and Violette says, thank you very much. Bonsoir.
And he tried to get back to the inside, but Violette shut the door on him, has let Poland and Japan just stretch their legs very slightly. Last lights flashing from Thieber. Don't think he appreciated that one.
No, really? It was a late move, I will give him that, but Violette, I mean, we've seen, that, again, a lot of these drivers quite aggressive, and it's great to see, though, that on the whole, in general, it has been clean.
You say that. I'm still a little bit in shock as those first couple of laps.
Yeah, like I say, on the whole, if we take the whole thing into account, it's been relatively clean.
But this is just so much fun, though. I love it when you put these cars on track. It's not just national pride on the line, but again, $25,000. That's a World Championship prize pool in a couple of our World Championships, and those get paid over months. This is paid over 1 weekend of action. Yes, it's shared across your lineup, but at the end of the day, who cares about that? It's all about just having some fun, not knowing what the combos are, having to adapt at the very last minute, a fixed setup competition, so many fun little things. By the way, Elvis Rankin, he's picked off where Phil Denez left off. He's 3.3 seconds clear of Mr. LMP2, Maxime Briand.
And Charlie Summers is just falling back a little bit, but he's into a bit of a holding pattern because he is just that bit clear of Poland. So 3rd place for United Kingdom, but there you go, Elvis Rankin. I mean, if ever there was somebody who can really jump in and grab a car by the scruff of its neck, it's Elvis, that's for sure. He's young in age, but he's certainly got plenty of pace in that Audi. 81
race starts in the real world for Elvis Rankin. 51 wins.
It's all right, I suppose.
It's all right, and that's why the Apex Racing team wanted to pick him up.
Oh, what's happening with Violante and the Saga? Those two have been battling. They've allowed Poland to pull away. Oh, they're getting aggressive, and here comes Tiba to the outside. That'll give him the inside for turn 3.
And, well, Violate is getting his elbows out, that's for sure. Almost runs Thiba off the road once more. Lights flashing again. I mean, I think we know exactly how Alexander Thiba thinks about the racing in front of him right now.
Violate has obviously been watching this year's Hungarian Grand Prix and seeing how Fernando Alonso did that tremendous blocking job to let his teammate be able to have the chance of winning. And right now, Violate, he is the second of the Team France cars. France looking very, very strong in this opening race and looking strong for the overall here.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at the points and try and give a bit of an update. France very much in control of their group, but Group C is the closest of them all. USA is up there as well, Poland in the mix. Group D is Spain and Russia in control, Japan and the UK looking good. Group A, we thought that was the group of death, very much the closest of them all for the defending champions Germany. If Patrick Holtzman hadn't had some pretty rough opening couple of laps, they would be in a bit stronger of a position given the pace that we've seen both from him and the rest of the cars. A couple of issues further down the field though. I see Netherlands has been bundled down, Belgium has been bundled off the road. Well, it's still going on. We've got 10 minutes left though in this opening race of the Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO.
Oh, there's the look for Violate. It gets you into the mind of the driver in front of you, and a Saga, around it goes, carrying too much speed into turn number 1. He got distracted by Violate just sticking the nose out and saying, hello, I'm here, and around he goes.
That's just pressure. That is the mental pressure that someone like Violate can build up lap after lap with some of those aggressive looks. Just have to be careful. Divers coming at any point in time. Here's a look at the RaceBot TV replay, just a little bit too fast. The rear comes around, and it's a good job from a Saga to not rejoin unsafely. Connery Maddock, I think, would approve of that.
He certainly would, that's for sure. But Violate showing his chops here and showing that he means business here today. Meanwhile, further back, well, we've still got this tremendous battle. Norway, Germany, Russia, Portugal, all in a line. Portugal just falling off of the back of that queue just a little bit. And, well, Oscar Bixrud ahead of Christopher Dan Beats with Denis Grabowski right there with them as well. I mean, talk about young drivers. Oscar Bixrud, again, another very young driver, 14 years old, doing a tremendous job in a little bit of a battered Norway car.
A little bit. I have a feeling if you look anywhere past 5th on back, there will be some sort of damage to these Audi R8s. It would be quite expensive repair bill if the mechanics had to take a look, but that's one of the nice things about the iRacing service and across of sim racing as well. The fact is that the racing's real, but at least the damage bill is not.
Yeah, that's it. The beauty of sim racing is you finish a race, oh well, I'm done with that car, give me a new car please, and that is one of the benefits. Could you imagine if you had a simulator? Here we go, here's a $1 million idea for iRacing. Have it that you have to pay for all the damage in your cars. You'd see the drivers clean up the driving after that.
Given some of the things that we've seen, I would not be surprised if we don't see that, to be honest.
But it certainly makes people think twice about sticking the nose into a move that isn't really on. But certainly these drivers, they're putting on a tremendous display of driving, and this queue of cars now, Oscar Bixrud, it'll take a mistake from one of these, I feel, to really change things up in this mid-pack, because they are pretty so easily matched between them. And this is the beauty of this competition as well. You're seeing drivers so evenly competing.
And one thing that I loved, Paul, was that they announced which cars were potentially going to be used. They announced which tracks were potentially going to be used. but they didn't announce the combinations until 2 hours before we went live here. Now, a lot of these teams tried to speculate and try and come up with the combinations that were going to be used. I don't think many people thought the Audi R8 would be running at Hungaroring.
Yeah, you'd be thinking like a Spa, wouldn't you, or somewhere like that that we normally see. But, you know, this car is at home here around this track. We see plenty of GT racing happen at the Hungaroring. And so the Audi R8, it's not out of place, but this car suits certain people's driving styles. It's quite a loose car in general, as there's Australia in 11th place with Bo Albert battling away with Jose Soria, trying to get into or keep that 11th place for Australia, and Soria thinking, I want that 11th.
I've seen Soria in a bunch of open wheel competition as of late, but great to see him on a GT car now as well. Up the hill in towards turn 4 they'll work. A little bit of a kink on entry before the left-hand sweeper. Soria taking advantage of some track limits that maybe the FIA wouldn't approve of, but with 5 minutes left to go, the gap between Rankin and Briant has come down. It's now under 2 seconds, so Briant has turned the wick up. Rankin coming under pressure as Albert clambers over the anti-cut curb. Soria can't take advantage. Albert's not looking too comfortable with that GT3 car. I can understand why they left Jaden Ladick in that car for until the very end of the pit window.
Track limits that the FIA would be questioning. Never mind the FIA. Paul Smith questions that track limit abuse right there. I do see that Norway have had one of their drivers drop down the field. Yeah, Oscar Bixrud, he was in front of Christopher Dambeat, and he's dropped down the order to 21st now, so something's happened between those drivers.
Norway in 21st and 25th, not the way that they wanted to kick off this Cup of Nations. It's coming into, deja vu.
Yeah. And
that's a crunch.
Yeah, luckily it's a tyre wall there, so you don't get quite as much damage as if you would if it was a Armco barrier. Other brands of barriers are available. And, you know, there's still this battle for 11th place. Bo Albert, you know, we've seen him plenty of times in Rallycross and in other spec series as well. You know, he's not new to road racing. It's just that he'll be more the specialist for the dirt sections.
Oh no, I mean, he's a world championship competitor back when we had the endurance series as well, so very much knows what he went across of different things and knows how to drive and how to wheel a car. Really, that car just doesn't look settled in his hands, at least for now. They are about 5 seconds adrift from Pedro Sanchez Albert in the other Spain car, which is on the edge of the top 10. They are being reeled in as well by the Czech Republic and Lucas Podesta, who is closing in very slightly every single lap. 3 minutes to go. Gap is still coming down. Maxime Briant is really going full send now.
I just feel that Elvis Rankin, with that gap that they had to start with, has really... He only has to drive within himself to a degree, and doesn't have to worry about pushing too hard. Briant will be doing everything he can to catch up. But the thing is, as the great Murray Walker used to say, catching is one thing, passing is quite another. And especially around this track, it is incredibly difficult. 2.5 minutes remaining, so 2 laps remaining in this race.
Has split up as well. We saw train from second, all the way down to about 7th or 8th positions. Really has broken up. Alexander Thieber still close to Quintin Violate. Diogo Pinto is closing. So it will be red line versus red line, Germany versus Portugal if Pinto can close up. That is group positions as well. Remember, left-hand side of the screen, you'll see the groups as the background for the different countries here today. Points are awarded based on overall position, but you're really fighting with the cars in your groups. Group C currently has 4 cars in the top 5, so it's going to be close there. 5 cars in the top 10 as things stand. It's just such an interesting format that makes you think about the racing and the way that you view your competition pool very differently to anything else you'll do here on the iRacing service. Yeah,
it's almost like a multi-class race, isn't it? Even though they're all driving the same car. Yes, you're in a battle and you want to be in that position to to be as high up as possible, but at the end of the day, as long as you're outscoring your competitors in your group, then that is all that matters. But you want to score as many points as possible, get a good footing here, which is what these teams at the front are doing right now. They're getting a good baseline of points so that then for the next two races and next two events that we do before the automatic qualification for tomorrow is over, these drivers will have given their team the best opportunity possible. And it's those teams that are further down, and I'm looking at Australia, who are one of those teams who are not doing too well here in this race. They're on the back foot. They need a brilliant 2 races coming up.
Well, it is the final lap of race 1 in the group stages. 3 races in this group stage. We start with the Audi R8 LMS at the Hungaro Ring. Elvis Rankin is now 1.4 clear of Maxime Brient. The Brioche well and truly flying. Charlie Summers about 4 seconds back from second. Still has Poland, France, Germany, Portugal for company. Wait and see if there's going to be any late race drama. Given what we saw at the start, wouldn't be totally unexpected, but time has expired. It is the final lap of this 40-minute dash.
Charlie Summers has got a queue of cars behind him as well. He's got Poland, France, Germany and Portugal all together with him. Alessandro Bico, I think, has just had a little bit of an issue out there, and he's dropped down to 20th place for Italy. And in fact, here's what that issue was. Tried to make the move around the outside, a little bit of side-to-side contact, paint swap, cars trying to get out the way of him. And well, that Italy car drops down.
From 14th to 20th position for Alessandro Bico. But out front, it was Phil Denez that put in the qualifying lap and dominated the first stint of this race. Elvis Rankin took over and never looked back. The USA will win the first race of the Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. Maxime Brient for France in second. Charlie Summers will bring up the podium positions with a train of cars behind him. What a way to start this weekend of action.
Well, that was an exciting race, wasn't it? 40 minutes of action non-stop. And as we were saying, this is the only time that every single driver from each nation will be competing in the races all together. So now it's all about team management, how you separate them all out and how you work your team for the other 2 group races. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that race and some tremendous action. Okay, lap 1 was a bit... Lap 1 and 2 was a bit sort of hit and miss, but we'll ignore that because we saw some tremendous driving out there.
I think more hitting than missing, Paul.
Okay, yeah, you're possibly right there, actually.
Well, our one and only team race of this weekend is now in the books as we wait for all the cars to come across the line to present you with our race results. Still waiting for 2 stragglers to cross and take the checkered flag. But what a way. Group C looking very, very interesting. And remember as well, the only race in this group stage, at least the first couple of races, where qualifying is on the cards. Race 2 is set by the results from this race and the group orders in each of the groups. Here's a look at the results. 23 laps of action, 40 minutes of racing. Elvis Rankin and Maxime Brient, 1.3 seconds separates them, with UK and Poland and France through to the top 5. Alexander Thieber in 6th for Germany, the defending champions. Diogo Pinto for Portugal chasing his red line counterpart. Not far behind between the 2 of them across the line, with Poland, Japan and Spain through the top 10. Down in 11th, it was Bo Albert, the last car to come down onto the pits for the mandatory pit stop, taking over from Jaden Laydick. Spain behind him with Lucas Podesta in 13th for the Czech Republic. Russia, Cup of Nations, UK through the top 15, with USA, Russia, Portugal, Germany and Italy completing the top 20. 34 seconds between 1st and 20th, an indication, given the level of quality, the level of carnage that we saw on the opening laps of this race. Oscar Bichterud for Norway had a couple of moments in his stint of the race. He drops down into 21st position. But the Belgium car right behind him as well. Oscar Koper, late race replacement for Martin van Lozenoord. He's finishing this race one in 23rd, with Sindre Setsour's 24th for the second Norwegian car. Japan in 25th, with Hungary, Belgium, the final cars on the lead lap. Then you get into some of the cars that had major drama to kick things off. The Netherlands, Hungary, Czech Republic through the top 30, while cars not even making it into the second half of this race. It was Dino Lombardi for Italy and Griffin Gardner for Australia. Dylan Burst not enjoying the best of starts in this 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. And John, you were watching on for all of that. Just give us your thoughts, especially on that start. A little bit more crazy than I think some of us were thinking.
Well, I think the start itself kind of set me up for what I thought was going to be a really, really intense race with lots of contact. And the intensity kept on going, but the contact kind of calmed down a bit. It's a little bit like I said at the start. You know, I thought this track was going to basically encourage the drivers in the midfield to try and make their way forward as quickly as possible. And I think that's what we saw in the first few laps. So there was a lot of frenetic action going on. But as you say, once things calmed down, what a race. Absolutely brilliant. Who would have said that Hungaroring would have produced such amazing side-by-side action, and it delivered.
We'll get you points out of race one as soon as they are finalized by race control. Randy Cheneth and Jerome Kaiser. Paul, race two. Let's not talk too much about what happened last year when we took the Indy car to Indianapolis in a race that was more stop than start. This time around, though, it's the Indy Pro 2000s at Indy. So it's basically going to be pedal to the metal, foot to the floor, hitting the rev limiter, but cautions are not enabled. You need to make sure you stay out of trouble, especially when you're 3 wide, basically, for what is going to be, what, a 10-minute sprint?
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I think I aged about 4 years last year in that one Indy race. It was quite something. But yeah, this race coming up. I mean, the Indy Pro 2000. It's a fun car to drive. I really enjoy driving this car, but it can bite. You know, so you've got to be careful with it, especially around the ovals. And I mean, Indy, I mean, you mentioned it right there. It's going to be flat out all the way from the green flag. So these drivers are certainly going to have their hands full out there, that's for sure.
I still remember from last year, because we had caution laps not counting, it meant that basically every time we had a caution, things very much slowed down. Matt Gallagher of WTF1 had enough time to order a pizza, get the pizza delivered, eat the pizza, and be ready to talk about the race in the conclusion of all of it. So hopefully it's a little bit different this time around, but it's sure to be very, very exciting. The final race of the group stage, by the way, will be a rallycross race at Hell Lankenbanen. So excited to see how that one's going to play out, but I think, at least for now, one driver is going to be able to take a bit of a break here, John. The other 3 drivers will have to race. So now you split your teams up. One driver watches on, maybe gives a little bit of spotting advice, and then he gets ready for the Rallycross showdown.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic because they're obviously, you know, do they put their time into helping their teammates in the current race, or do they put more time into preparing for the one after? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm still shocked by how good the racing was in that first one. You know, we saw the likes of USA doing a great job out front, but then actually the likes of France having more strength and depth, scoring more points. So I mean, USA won the first race. They're not even necessarily favourites to get through because they're in a really close battle with Poland for second in the group. So it shows you that you really need your second, third and fourth drivers to be right up there on pace, and that's why the next few races are going to be really interesting to see.
USA and Poland preliminarily separated by 2 points. We do have interviews, which is a bit of a nice surprise, to be honest. I wasn't expecting the winners to jump into our broadcast booth here, but we are joined by Phil Denez and Elvis Ranking. Phil, talk to us about the qualifying and then that first stint of the race. It was all going on behind you, but you didn't look in your rearview mirror. You controlled the first 20 minutes of this race.
Well, I'm not sure if many people know, but I have dual citizenship, and my second citizenship is Hungarian, so I kind of had to do it at this track, right? I had to put it on pole and drive away. There was no other place to do it, and it feels really good to do it at a track like this, where I've wanted to win for so long. So, and you know, Elvis did an awesome job bringing it home. No mistakes, and yeah, it's just awesome to start out like this.
And Elvis, I'll ask you this. Were you getting a bit worried in the closing stages when your Apex Racing teammate was closing down on you? It must be a little bit weird having a teammate chase you down when you're competing against one another here today.
It's something I'm kind of used to, but it was definitely a little odd. I know Maxime has pace in the LMP2, and he did VRS SEO, so he has pace in GT3, so I knew he was coming. I just had to stay smooth, and Phil did an amazing job getting me the gap.
You guys, I think, really showed that you'll be one to watch. Now I have to ask you, Phil, who's going to be racing at Indianapolis? Because, of course, we just mentioned this. 3 drivers race in this oval race, and then the odd man out competes in the final race of the group stage. So how are you guys splitting this up to kick things off?
I believe the next race will be myself, Elvis, Dallas, and I think Ross will be doing the Rallycross race, as far as I'm concerned.
And I'll ask you, you're a Road to Indy driver. What's this going to be like? Because it's not going to be a traditional oval race for this Road to Indy car.
It's a bit of a longer oval than we're used to in the Road to Indy, so expect a lot of action. That's all I'm going to say.
And for you, Elvis, I mean, talk to us about this format and the way that this competition works. The fact that you come together, 4 drivers, same country, but very different teams. You're fighting together now. What's that been like for you? I know you guys have been pretty proactive in practicing with one another.
Yeah, obviously, it's important to get to know the team. Obviously, it's not like how you're usually used to when you're showing up and you've talked maybe for like 50 hours with a guy and you know them very, very closely. You know, this is a throw in the ballpark for sure. You know, getting to work with guys, different team. It's a cool experience for sure. Getting to know people on a different level compared to like, oh, you know, I race against him. He's like the rival. But no, this is definitely an amazing event. Super, super cool every single year. Like the Sim Racing Olympics, and it's so fun to be a part of.
Well, $25,000 on the line. Still 3 races to go today before the finals tomorrow. Good luck, guys, and hopefully this luck continues.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks, guys.
So Phil Denez, Elvis Rankin, winners in the 40-minute dash at the Hungara ring. Still getting ourselves ready to get gridded up. And remember, Paul, there's no qualifying for this next race. It's all dependent on the results and the group positions of race number 1.
Yeah, this is where you have to have a complex trigonometry and mathematics degree of being able to work out what the grid will be. Yeah, absolutely. I don't envy the race control, that's for sure. But, you know, Indy Pro around Indianapolis, it seems fitting, really, doesn't it? But as Phil said, you know, there's going to be lots of action. My goodness, are we going to see a lot of action. But you did mention, though, cautions are not there to save those drivers. So, yeah, you've got to be careful. You've got to push. Don't get me wrong, but you've got to keep your wits about you.
Phil has some bad memories from Indianapolis in the Cup of Nations Pro earlier this year when he was racing with the real-world drivers in their Cup of Nations. He qualified on pole, and then Sage Karam, who has plenty of experience in an Indy car at Indianapolis, gave him some in-car tools to try and use. Phil spun on turn number 1, lap number 1, and took out about half the field with him in what was an equally chaotic race. Cautions were at least disabled there, so we didn't end up in the never-ending hell that was last year in our race at Indianapolis. But John, now, we talked about that team splitting up. This is where you have to get to know your teammates and know where their strengths are and not just trust them. That's where the practice comes in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the more you know, the better. And I think this race is going to be a real telltale sign to see if teams are able to work together to try and move their way forward. Obviously, it's a totally different discipline, completely different style of racing, and it's not going to be as easy for a driver to just use outright pace to get away at the front. It's going to be a lot more tactical, and I think we're going to really see the best out of the teams, the ones who work well together and the ones who struggle to do so.
So I'm going to ask you both for predictions. We're going to have, what, it's 48 cars? How many are going to get mixed up in incidents here? I'll start with you, John. 10 minutes, remember. So give or take, I think, about 12 laps of action.
I'm going to say I'm hoping to see the finish with 30 cars or more. But,
okay.
I mean, am I fully confident about that? Maybe not. Let's wait and see.
What about you, Paul? Which way are you thinking on this one?
I'm going to say evens over-under on, you know, evens odds of over-under, what, 20 cars finishing that? No, come on, these are some of the best sim racers in the world here right now, and not just on iRacing, but from across simulators, other simulators as well. All joking aside, I think we're going to see some really close action. Yes, we're going to have a couple of unfortunate incidents. That's going to be the nature of the racing with this car. It's going to be close, it's going to be frenetic, it's going to be action-packed. You won't want to miss a thing. Favourites? I mean, you can't really look past the USA, can you, really, in this? This is their environment, isn't it, very much?
Well, and I think the interesting thing here is Phil Denez won, but because it's by the group result, he won't be on pole. I believe it will end up being France on pole. But the drivers will get reversed. So Phil Denez won't start at the front. I think he'll start at the back. You said you need a trigonometry degree. I think you need a PhD in calculus at this point. We'll wait and see. We'll leave that to the spreadsheets and the race control team to get figured out. They are working on that, by the way. They are endeavoring to get the new race up as quickly as possible. Just a chance for us to chat and talk about things going on right now. And of course, when you get to Indianapolis, there's only one thing you can do, which is play back home again in Indiana, which is always the best part of any RaceBot TV broadcast. Cannot wait for that. But the rest of the day, we can talk about today's combos. We can't talk about tomorrow's combos. We can't do a Will Vincent. We can't leak the combos before they actually get announced. Open Wheel, Indy Pro 2000 next. Rallycross, that's a Subaru STI, a spec car as well for all of the Rallycross competition over the next couple of days. To finish things off, though, Monza and the Porsche Cup car, John. I don't know how that's going to play out because remember, 8 teams will already be qualified. 8 more teams fighting for just what will be 2 spots in the final tomorrow. That's going to be a pretty hectic race, and if turn one at Hungaroring was any indication of what to see, well, the Temple of Speed's got some drama for us, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I mean, as a combination for a race where all the teams and drivers are going to be desperate at that stage, maybe with less to lose than before, it's not the same as this first stage where, you know, half of the teams go through and half don't. It's only, I think, 25% of the teams that are on the track at that time will get through. So that is going to create some drama for sure. And turn 1, I might be closing my eyes. I mean, the thing is that, you know, these guys are all really good. You know, even the drivers down in 30th position in that first race are still really, really good. Some of them even setting as good lap times as the winners were. So the quality is still going to be super high, but the desperation is going to be just that little bit higher.
Well, we do have confirmation of the points heading out of race number 1, so let's give you how it stands right now. It is close in multiple groups, not so close in other groups. Germany, Portugal, 2 points separate them, but they're about 46 points clear of the Czech Republic. Hungary, who were looking fairly decent in terms of pace, just not going the way that they wanted. In terms of Group B, it's the UK that lead the way. They're almost double the points of what Japan have. Norway and the Netherlands really not enjoying the best of race number 1s, but this next race, even more points are on the line. How will things shake out for them? Group C, well, 3 teams, all with a very strong chance of making it. France, both of their cars finished up in the top 5 positions. USA, of course, won the race, the second car down in 16th. Poland, they looked good as well. Both of their cars were in the top 10, 2 points back from the stars and stripes of the USA, but Australia on the back foot, need to try and bounce back from this. Group D looking good. Spain and Russia building an advantage, but Belgium, we know how quick they can be. Italy's not out of the mix as well. 3 World Championship drivers in that one. What's the biggest surprise, Paul, when you look at these results?
My biggest surprise is the position of Netherlands down in last place in their group. They had a nightmare of an opening race. Okay, they've had a bit of turmoil with a change of driver last minute. Italy as well, bottom of Group D. Fortunate for them, they're not actually that far away because Spain and Russia didn't really score too many points in that, but we thought Group A was the group of death. It appears to be Group C that is that after that opening race, because my goodness, we knew France were going to be a real challenger this time around, but USA put on a tremendous performance there, and Poland as well. I said don't write them out, didn't I? When we were going through the different groups, Poland are one to keep an eye on here.
And for you, John, I know you are somewhat familiar with basically every simulator, but somewhat new to the broadcasting side here on iRacing. Who was your biggest surprise to kick things off here?
I'd have to agree with Italy for a start, because obviously, you know, they made such a strong start last season, taking the win in the first race, to then have the same driver, Simone, who won the race last time, be right at the back of the grid in qualifying, and then have a couple of spins as well, the other car having a spin too. Yeah, Italy were a real surprise to me, but thankfully for them, Belgium and Russia making contact halfway through the race really helped them stay in the mixer. And then, as you say, you look at the likes of Group C, you've got a team that actually won the race, that were doing pretty well. The second car wasn't even that bad either for USA, but because France and Poland had such good strength and depth, they were able to stay right in the mix too. So I think USA will be nervous, to be honest, because they couldn't have done too much better in that first round, and they're still under pressure. And yeah, as Paul was saying, Netherlands really struggling too. You had the top Netherlands car outside of the top 20 with damage, and then suffering another spin with a bit of contact. It was a real tough one for those guys. So yeah, I mean, a long way to go, it has to be said. So things can be turned on its head, and I'm sure they will be turned on their heads.
And of course, while we wait for the second race server to come up, there's one thing that we did want to do, because of course partners at Williams helped put all of this on. The sad news that this past week Sir Frank Williams unfortunately lost his life. Someone that's done so much for motorsport. Paul, I know you're the oldest man on the panel, so you basically volunteered to pay some tributes to him, but it's just hard to explain to someone who's new to motorsports how much of an impact Sir Frank has had on not just Formula One but across the motorsports.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the longevity of his career, of being a team owner and a team principal at Williams Racing, you know, starting in the late 70s. I mean, he sold his original outfit to Walter Wolf to become Wolf Racing, and then started up another team with his longtime work partner Patrick Head. And that team just slowly grew and grew. They got the first Grand Prix win in 1979, the first World Championship with Alan Jones in 1980. Keke Rosberg then followed on in 1982, of course. And you know, you go through the years then of the success. You had the years, the Nigel Mansell mania through. He got his first ever win in a Williams at Brands Hatch at the European Grand Prix in 1985. Key moments in people's careers and people's lives. You know, Mansell winning the championship in 1992. You had Piquet winning 87 for them. Hill, who could forget the epic battles that Hill and Schumacher had in the early to mid 90s as well. Jacques Villeneuve coming in and surprising everybody, coming in from IndyCar and becoming a world champion in 1997 as well. Then went through a bit of a lean time after the sort of the mid 2000s. Had a real boon when the new hybrid regulations came in Formula One, got close to winning races in that. And who can forget, though, going back to 2012, we were discussing it last night, Pastor Maldonado, the last race winner for Williams, or the most recent, sorry, not the last, the most recent race winner. I'm a Williams fan. I'm sorry, I'm still passionate about the team, and you know, they've got a new footing, they've got a new way forward, but it's been really key to see that this new ownership has been keen to actually keep and remember the history of the team as well. And I mean, Frank built that to such a degree, to be such a successful championship, and he had his fingerprints in motorsport elsewhere. The Metro 6R4, the engine for that was developed by Williams. You had the Williams Renault British touring car from 1995. They started producing their cars as well for them. They've been involved in all sorts of motorsport of Williams, so they leave an indelible mark on the sport, and Frank will be sorely missed by everyone in motorsport, that is for sure.
So many drivers have gotten their starts under the Williams banner, and that win at Spain was so spectacular that, of course, the car then had to go on fire and make it an interesting after party, that's for sure. What about you, John? What memories do you have of Williams in not just Formula One but across the motorsports?
So, I mean, when I was born, I think the first race after Jerez 97, when Villeneuve and Schumacher had their incident. So, right when I was born, Williams were just finishing winning their last Drivers' Championship. But even throughout my childhood, they were always right at the top with Montoya and Schumacher in Formula One. And, you know, as someone who obviously grew up after Frank Williams had most of his success, I was still able to feel the amount of the impact that those guys had, especially him and Patrick Head, on the sport. You could just, everyone that talked about Frank would speak about him in a special way, and you could just sense the magic behind it and everything he's done for the sport. And it was obviously great to see Claire Williams jump into a very top role at Williams as well and keep it in the family. So yeah, I mean, even as someone, as I say, from more recent generation, I know the impact Frank Williams has had in the sport, and it is absolutely massive. There's nothing that hasn't been said about him already, just in terms of how amazing it was.
And one of my favorite videos of Sir Frank was the moment a couple of years ago when Lewis Hamilton got to take him around Silverstone in a road car, and it just popped up on my YouTube timeline a couple of days ago, and just to see the smile on his face to experience that again. And then Lewis took him for an extra lap, given that the staff didn't want him to do that. They were trying to wave him down, but Lewis said, no, we're going to go for one more lap, and the smile on his face to experience all of that. Reminder, we are getting set for our second race. The gridding is being dialed in right now by the race control team. That will be 10 minutes, a sprint at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Indy Pro 2000 car. And, well, It's week 12, Paul. What does that mean? It's new iRacing build week coming up next week. So many exciting things, some rumored, some announced. Most recently, yesterday, I know you're a fan of this, some TCR action. We've got 2 new cars joining the Audi RS3 LMS, the Hyundai Veloster N and the Honda Civic. Gonna be fun. Although there is a bit of a US bias now when it comes to these TCR cars.
Well, of course, you look at it in the USA, those cars run in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge as well as that Audi RS3. So, that's where those cars have come from. It is the Elantra, by the way, not the...
Sorry, no. My mistake. I blame our producer Tyler Maxim because he, of course, does race that Veloster in TCR competition in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. So just blame Tyler. It's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we always do anyway. But, yeah, those 2 cars I'm really looking forward to. I'm a touring car guy at heart. That's what I grew up on as a motorsport fan. Gotta say, as well, as a Brit, yes, I'm biased. Knockhill coming to the iRacing service as well. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised at how tricky that track is, but what fun it is as well.
Oh, it looks spectacular. We'll get a new Rallycross track as well, a layout of that, so exciting. Of course, you've also got the new update to Watkins Glen, which is a fan favorite, one of the oldest tracks on iRacing. It's not just visual, though. You're going to have new curbs, all of that kind of stuff. It's also rumors, and we'll find out more about them on Monday, I have a feeling, about a particular Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team vehicle that might be joining the iRacing ranks, but we'll see exactly how that plays out. Plenty of things still on the horizon for iRacing. Brazilian stock cars were confirmed a couple of weeks ago to be launching in 2022. We'll see exactly when they launch as well. So many fun things to play with over Christmas, heading into the new year as well. Ready for race 2 then? Drivers are getting ready to go. We're going to step away for a couple of moments' time, but don't go anywhere. We'll be live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway right after this. Well, here we go. Race 2 is about to get underway. We are now live from the Brickyard, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, home to the greatest spectacle in racing, but not ready to go in a Dallara IR18. Instead, we're in the Indy Pro 2000s, Paul, and a car that we've seen a lot on RaceSpot TV, but usually doesn't race here. Phil Denez said that as well. Bigger than most of the ovals that this car visits during even real-world competition. We're in for a treat. Lots of 3-wide, maybe even 4-wide action, and I think survival will be the name of the game here.
Yeah, the drivers, we've been chatting between us in the break. Drivers got to be bouncing off that rev limiter, especially if they're in the draft. So you really got to get some moves done early. I say, try and get yourself worked up the field as quickly as possible, because it is only a short race here today.
Well, we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. They're out for practice right now. They're getting their first experience of drafting and trying to play the position game, which I think is going to be what we see here now, John. It's getting the runs, timing the runs, and even when you're on the limiter, putting yourself in the right place at the right time will be crucial, assuming you survive lap number 1 here.
Yeah, it's going to be so tricky, especially if you've got someone in front who knows how to hold their lines properly. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers trying to defend down the inside. Is it going to be possible for people to make the move around the outside? I'm sure many are going to try it because they're going to have no option. As we keep saying, these drivers are at the top of their game, so they're going to try everything they can to make progress. But what we really don't want to see is a big incident near the front, because then if you're towards the back, you're going to be in big trouble. So yeah, as you say, keep your nose clean, try and keep your eyes as far ahead of you as possible, and make up those positions if you can.
Well, let's take a look at some on-track pictures, as I have a feeling the new damage model is going to get a working here today. You'll see the tires flying all over the place, nose cones going for its own rides as well. And a reminder, it says 43 minutes left to practice, but we will manually advance to the race session in a couple of moments' time once everyone is ready to rumble here today. And reminder as well that you can follow along on VCO Esports for the latest updates from all of today's action. Cup of Nations Sim on Twitter as well will get you covered with all of the important storylines over the course of these next 2 days of racing. Reminder, $25,000 prize pool. $10,000 will go to the winner as well. Belgium shows just how treacherous this place can be, Paul.
Yeah, those walls bite. They're not made of pillows. They bite, and bite hard, that's for sure. And those drivers, well, they are certainly ones to keep an eye on as this goes on. But yeah, we'll see how things get on in this race. And yeah, certainly as we wait for things to all get sorted out and ready for the start of this race, it's definitely it's ample time to get some practice in and to really get your eye in around this track.
Second race of the group stage then, as we'll get ready to go racing. Man, I wish we could talk about the lineup for tomorrow, because there's some really interesting things on the cards, multidisciplined as well. But John, I think that's what's great about this, right? We do have a field which is predominantly road races. Other than Jarl Tien, most of these drivers are road specialists, but we've got Rallycross coming up, we've got these road races across different types of cars, oval racing as well. It's one way you do have to be quite well-rounded as a driver. That's something we don't see in real-world motorsports as much anymore. You think back to a couple of decades ago when drivers would do it all. Now, that's not really as common. You very much stick to one discipline of racing, and even within road racing, for example, you might be an open wheel specialist, you might be a GT specialist, but it's not too common to see someone do both in a calendar year.
No, definitely not, and that's why we all love this competition. You know, we all love growing up and living through Race of Champions in real life, because we get to see drivers from different disciplines competing against each other on equal footing. And of course, it'll all come down to experience levels, but you know, these guys all know what they're doing. They've been doing iRacing for a long time. They will have tried multiple disciplines, but I'm sure they will have their specialties where they really, you know, make progress in their iRacing and are able to get the good results in the top series. So of course it's going to be a test of diversity, but at this kind of level, you know, there will be a lot of talent across the board in different disciplines. I think it'd be interesting as well to see how they pick their drivers for different runs, because you know, do they want their best all-rounders in for all of the races? Do they try and pick their drivers who are more focused on a certain discipline? Yeah, it is a tricky one, but I tell you what, as a driver, it is so enjoyable when you know that you're going to be trying different disciplines against different drivers, and everyone has the equal amount of practice, because honestly it is a really fun thing to come into a competition like this. I'm sure the drivers will love the format.
Well, I think we're going to take a look at the points again, just to give you the update on how things are looking. Germany, again, 2 points clear of Portugal. About 46 points clear is Portugal from the Czech Republic. The top 2 teams will not have to go through the scramble that is our playoff race, the Porsche 911 Cup car at Monza. That's a 15-minute showdown. So for the UK, it's sitting pretty, Paul. For USA, after winning race number 1, not looking as comfortable.
Yeah, it's interesting how it all pans out, how it all works here, and you know, the UK, you mentioned there, nice buffer in their group, in Group B. Germany, not really any buffer there, just 2 points between them and Portugal. Spain aren't really comfortable ahead of Russia either, but to be honest, it all just matters about where you do end up in the group, and as long as you end up in the top 2, you're through to finals day, guaranteed. That is what you're concentrating on really out there if you're a team. You want to get that automatic qualification, because there's nothing worse, and we saw it last year, nothing worse than going through the last chance qualifier.
And last year that was in the IndyCar Indianapolis, well, if I'm remembering correctly, right, Paul?
I believe so. It's been a long time. Let's just say.
Yeah, no, it does feel like almost a couple of years ago, but it was June of last year that we did that inaugural Cup of Nations. That was also, by the way, in aid of UNICEF and the COVID-19 fund that they put on. We raised almost £4,000 to be donated to that cause. What an event it was, the inaugural Cup of Nations. Glad you can join us here across of VCO Esports, TraxionGG on iRacing social media, as well here on RaceBot TV for all the action today. Getting word there's going to be a couple more minutes before we are ready for race number 2. So let's talk a little bit about the action that's happening this weekend, not just in the virtual world, but in real life as well. 2 very cool races. One, of course, is Formula 1 heading to a new venue with the title challenge coming down to the wire. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton duking it out amongst the 2 of them. But at least if you ask me, John, the bigger news is the greatest race in all of Australia. The Bathurst 1000 kicks off in just a couple of hours' time.
Yeah, and all real motorsport fans have got to love that race. It's iconic. And for anyone who hasn't yet seen the pole position lap by Chaz Mostert, new lap record, it has to be seen, because anyone who's driven a car before can really appreciate the amount of skill it took to put that lap together. Yeah, we all love Bathurst. Obviously, it's great because you guys can jump on iRacing at home, jump in a V8 supercar and give it a go yourselves. And I'm sure many of you will have hit the walls many times and will know how difficult it is. But yeah, that's going to be a really exciting one. The Grand Prix as well. We all love a good weekend of motorsport.
It's coming down to the wire in F1. It's that time of the year where things start to wind down, but it's still very interesting. There's Nitro Rallycross happening as well. Chase Elliott, the NASCAR driver, is going to be getting his first experience at flying in a car, as it were. That pole lap from Chaz Mostert, not sure if you've seen it, Paul, but there was a moment for him coming down into the elbow where he got himself all twisted up and sideways, and I thought for a moment he was heading into the wall. He still managed to wrangle that car into submission and put it on pole with a lap record. I still think he could have gone faster if not for that one mistake, but one mistake on the mountain is not much.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, I was actually racing some races in the iRacing IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge this week, which happens to be at Bathurst. You know, those races are still ongoing on the service until Tuesday. So I just want to say I've got to win. But humble brag.
We're talking to IRX All-Star Invitational Heat winner here, Paul Smith.
Why aren't you in the UK team for this, Paul?
Because I'm working with you guys. It's the absolute pleasure of working with you guys. No, it's the complete lack of talent, let's be honest, is the reason why I'm here and not out there driving. But, you know, it is a tremendous challenge as Bathurst. It's hard enough in the touring car that I was driving on the other day. Those supercars, they're not your friend. Those things, they are really, really tricky cars to handle. And if you can be able to dance one of those around through the walls at Bathurst, then you are truly a top-tier driver in the world of motorsport. And we see it in the iRacing Bathurst 1000 as well. You know, the level of talent that these drivers have to be able to go around there. You really have to be a bit of a specialist around that venue, don't you?
I would almost argue that it's easier to drive a GT3 car around Bathurst than a supercar, given how difficult that supercar is.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at the level of downforce that a GT3 car has compared to a supercar. You know, it's just a raw V8. Yeah, they've got aero on their cars. Let's not forget about that. But, you know, those cars still... Yeah, they are tricky to drive through there, and to do it for 1,000 kilometres team race, it's going to be a long old day for them, but it's certainly one that those drivers absolutely relish.
And in some ways, it's kind of the opposite to the race we're about to see here, because you know, in Indianapolis, in the Indy Pro, is going to be, you know, cars on the limiter. It's you versus the other drivers, and basically it's you versus the race that's going on around you. Whereas Bathurst in a V8 supercar is kind of the opposite, because you're really racing yourself, the car itself, and of course the circuit. So it's a totally different thing. An endurance race where you're really focusing on keeping your car within the lines, rather than a sprint race where it's all about defending, attacking, working out what's going on around you. And obviously we did see an appearance from the V8 supercars in last year's event, and that produced some incredibly exciting racing around Spa as well. So yeah, even the car is the opposite as well, because we've got so much downforce, so much grip with these V8s. You're just dancing them on the limit. So it is such a spectacle. If you haven't actually been watching V8s around Bathurst before, I'm sure all three of us would thoroughly recommend going and watch some old archive footage, because there's plenty out there.
And V8 Supercar's pretty good at keeping their YouTube channel up to date with not just modern stuff, but historic content as well. So you can go and flick through the years and the archives as to what's been going on in recent memory as well. New supercars are coming. The Gen 3 supercars were revealed, and their body shapes were revealed this past weekend. They got their first outing in anger, in somewhat of anger, to test themselves on the mountain. Bit interesting that they're two doors, and I think one of them looks better than the other, but I'll let you think about let you decide what you think looks better. Let's talk a bit about the Brickyard then, while we wait for the race to get underway here, Paul, because personally, I think a lot of ovals, you say they have 4 corners, but really, they're 2 corners. Indianapolis, though, very different. Each of the 4 corners, very different in their own regard. I don't know how much of a challenge it's going to be mastering it in terms of the Indy Pro 2000. Like we were saying earlier, I think strategy and positioning yourself well is going to be more important here.
Yeah, it's going to be very much a cerebral race, isn't it? This race, you really got to be one to be on the limit, but also be able to position yourself to be in the right place at the right time. But Indianapolis, do you know what? I actually a few years ago when I was flying to Texas, my flight actually was going over the States. Now looking down out the window, and I saw a big city. I'm like, okay, what city is that? And I'm looking down, and then lo and behold, there it was, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I knew exactly where I was, and my goodness, it is recognisable from 38,000 feet up in the air, and well, every motorsport fan, and even people that aren't motorsport fans, know about Indianapolis.
There's even a golf course. 4 holes of a golf course are laid inside of the infield. You've got the road course configuration as well. We have a slightly older version here on the iRacing service. We've seen some memorable moments in F1, John. Also some not so memorable moments.
Well, I think memorable for the wrong reasons is maybe the way to put it. The races at Indianapolis, you know, there's been a mixed bag in terms of Formula One. Some have been more exciting than others. Obviously, we had the hugely controversial race in 2005 where only 6 cars took to the start, which was, you know, the less said about that, the better. But I mean, the oval itself is just so historic. You know, the atmosphere at these Indy 500 events are incredible. And as someone obviously from outside of the US, when you actually sit down and watch these broadcasts, you can just feel the atmosphere from even through the TV screen. It's phenomenal. So much history and so many amazing memories have been made here. I think the last race I did in iRacing was actually the Indy 500, and I managed to win it, but I think it was split 136,342 or something like that. But I mean, it's the thing I love about racing at Indy is the tactical element to it. It's not just about your driving skill. It's about, you know, balancing the risk and choosing when to make moves, when not to make moves, but also your pit stops and stuff. Now, obviously, we're not going to see that in today's race, but the circuit itself lends itself to fantastic tactical racing.
One man has conquered these bricks over the last, 3 years on the iRacing service. Brandon Treno, as Rob Howden dubbed him, the king of the bricks, has won each of the last 3 iRacing Indianapolis 500s. Also won the ISOWC 500 earlier this year, has conquered all of the major 500-mile races here in Speedway, Indiana over the course of 2021. Drivers are, by the way, finally getting themselves ready to go. So not far away from seeing the checkered flag, excuse me, the checkered flag, the green flag, dropping for race 2 of the group stages. Remember, 10 minutes, that's all it is. Not much time to survive, but if you survive, some valuable points on offer here today. Prediction time again, Paul. We haven't seen what the starting grid is going to be like just yet, but I've already got your prediction on how many cars is going to survive. Who do you think is going to come out on top here?
Well, I mean, I did say that that the USA were going to be a good shout for it. They really do have. They've got that that knowledge, and they've got the experience of, you know, it's part of the culture. Part of the motorsport culture is oval racing, and I just think that they've got that edge. But yeah, you can't write off a few of those other teams, and you know, Team United Kingdom. Jamie Fluke, you know, he's no slouch when it comes to open wheel racing. You know, I wouldn't count him out of this one. Pete Berryman as well.
Well, different type of open wheel racing,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Pete Berryman used to going left and right rather than just left, but we'll see how it goes. Barney the flagman will be watching on with great intrigue. Benny the pace car driver won't be getting a run out here today other than the pace lap, so that's at least one fortunate thing. No flashbacks to what we saw last year. Cars are on track for practice right now and just about ready to go. How are you thinking about this one, John? Which way are you going?
It's going to be really difficult to predict, also because I'm not fully aware of all these drivers' oval caliber. You know, which one of these have the best iRating on that side of things. Obviously, there are some that have single-seater experience more than others, but that's not necessarily as important as the oval experience, in my opinion. So it's really difficult to predict. We did see some great lap times from the likes of Norway in the last round, but as you say, that could be that they're GT3 specialists. We're going to have to wait and see, but it's going to be so difficult to predict. I think we will see a fight back from the likes of Germany and Italy, maybe closer towards the front, but France have really set the pace, I would say, in terms of the overall team performance in that first race.
Well, we're not far away from getting to the playing of back home again in Indiana. Group stages are underway. Race 1 was a 40-minute dash at the Hungaroring in the Audi R8 LMS. That was a team race. 32 teams out on track. But now here in Speedway, Indiana, it's time to play back home again in Indiana with Jim Neighbors on the vocals.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamores for me. The new moon hay sends all its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana home.
Back home again in Indiana. Is there anything else to do when you get ready to go racing here at the Brickyard, one of the most famous venues, not just in American open wheel racing, but indeed in global motorsports? One step of the Triple Crown is the Indianapolis 500. No Dallara IR18s out here today. Instead, it's the Indy Pro 2000s, where just taking a look at the cars on track, pack racing and surviving, that's going to be key here today. A reminder, after this, we'll head to Hell Lankenbanen for some Rallycross action. 3 drivers from each team will compete in this race. The odd man out will be watching on, maybe giving some advice, some spotting help, Paul, to the rest of his compatriots. Waiting, though, for what is going to be a hectic Rallycross event. You and I have called plenty of Rallycross over the past couple of months, but we're used to 5-lap heats, 10-lap features. Now it's just a 3-lap heat and a 5-lap feature.
Yeah, that is just going to be absolutely crazy. And it's going to be fast, frenetic, and I think we're going to see the old chrome horn, the front bumpers getting used quite a bit in those races. And well, I mean, Hell Lankenbahn, we saw in the World Championship how difficult it was to overtake around there. In the Cup of Nations, we are going to be seeing some. I think the dark arts of motorsport is the way I'm going to use it, say it. So yeah, it should be fun though.
Yeah, well, we were talking about maybe seeing some bump drafting. No, I'm not sure how much of that we're going to see. These are fragile cars, to put it mildly.
Yeah, I'm more talking about Hell Lankenbahn, but here in this race.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. In this race, you're going to see people squeezing people. You're going to see people, try and put people in a situation that they don't want to be in, really. And drivers, really, will want to get to that bottom line, won't they? They'll want to get to the bottom of the corner around here today.
Well, we are just about ready to go. Reminder as well that points are handed out from the overall finishing positions, but you're only really fighting with the 3 other teams in your group. So if you're in different groups, you're fighting for points, you're not fighting for the automatic transfers to tomorrow's finals. They will whittle down the 16 entrants, the 16 teams that have entered for this Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO to just 10. Of course, 8 will advance directly from these group stages. The playoff will set the final 2 cars that will head on through, and the rest of the teams and drivers will be watching on tomorrow when we pay out $25,000. What an event this is, our own little World Cup that we have here today. And I'm sure, Paul, some teams that didn't qualify that will be watching on and thinking, I could have been there.
There'll be some teams thinking, we could have done better than that. Yeah, we would have dealt with that differently, and unfortunately they're not here because they weren't able to qualify. And didn't qualify through the qualification process, which was very intense. It must be said, Arjuna. It was a high intensity qualifying, and you had to be on it. But yeah, these nations that have made it, they deserve to be here, and they are going to put on a display. That is for sure.
And just a reminder as well, social media, follow VCO Esports Cup of Nations Sim on Twitter, where the VCO content machine, Joshua Chin behind some of the cameras here today to give you some beautiful photos of all of the action. You can see 3 wide in practice. It's wide. It is a wide track, especially down the main straightaway. You can fit 5 cars. Now, will that end well? We're about to find out, Paul.
I remember watching when there was a Skippy race around here once, and it was 6 wide through turn 1.
Oh,
it didn't end well, but it did actually. They did go 6 wide into turn 1. So again, those are slightly narrower cars than what we have here. But these cars are not as big as the IndyCar that we normally see. So yeah, there's got to be a bit more room for the drivers out there today.
Well, there you can see the new damage model already getting a workout as we are set to go racing for 10 minutes. Yes, 10 minutes here at the Brickyard in the Indy Pro 2000. Let's take a look then at our starting grid, which is set as a result of the results and the group standings from race 1. All reversed as well. It will be Quentin Vialate leading the way for France. Alongside him will be Dallas Pataska. Watch out for Team USA. They may be the ones to push that car forward, advance USA into the finals directly, but he'll have Shlemislav Lemonek in 3rd alongside James Pinsker from the UK, with Christopher Dambietz and Nuno Henriquez completing row number 3. Jose Soria has plenty of open wheel oval experience to his name. He'll be alongside Masafumi Aburame for Japan, with Dennis Grabowski and Dylan Burst on the edge of the top 10, Philip Schiff and Sindre Setsource 11th and 12th positions. Kenny Rusin and Yuri Kastorp 13th and 14th, with Dino Lombardi and Norbert Leitner 15th and 16th. Mr. Brioche, Mr. LMP2, Maxime Briant lines up alongside Elvis Rankin, 17th and 18th position. This is where the drivers get recycled from the teams with Matthias Luchak and Peter Berryman on row number 10. Patrick Holtzman, Diogo Pinto, row 11. Redline teammates competing against one another here today with Victor Preto and Shunsuke Kuno, 23rd and 24th. 25th, it's Kirill Golubuksov alongside Griffin Gardner in 26th with Lucas Podesta and Jarl Tyen 27th and 28th. Ludwig Giddy and Oscar Koper 29th and 30th. Alessandro Bico, Laszlo Slabo on row number 16. Phil Dinez and Valentin Mandanok 33rd and 34th with Dominic Blair and Charlie Summers 35th and 36th. It's a big grid here today, and Mr. iRacing Maximilian Benecke 37th alongside Dylan Becky Shrivens with Pedro Sanchez Albert and Sota Muto through the top 40. Dmitry Kovanov 41st alongside Jaden Ledeck for Australia with Martin Stefanko 43rd, missing driver in 44th. Wasn't able to grid up, I believe that was Kenneth Gould-Branson with Shasha Gorla and Ruben Bonga 45th and 46th. Moreno Sarica and Christoph Kerkus 47th and 48th. And already, Paul, a little bit of drama.
Yeah, Pete Berryman missing from the start of this race, having issues out there is Pete, and that means that he is not going to be taking the green flag with the rest of these drivers.
Well, for the UK, already on the back foot here, but for Pete Berryman, at least, he will not be in the danger zone. Heading into turn 1 here, Paul, for what is going to be an absolutely chaotic race. We've got Rallycross after this. I still think this is going to be more crazy than our race at Hell Lankenbanen.
Well, you never say never, that's for sure. But here we are for the start. If these drivers all behave themselves, then they will be in for a very good time out there. But safety car's in, we're ready for a start. 48 Indy Pro 2000s are ready to roar in what is going to be a race where 2 wide is expected, 3 wide likely, 4 wide potentially, already puff of smoke. I think Martin Stefanko's been mixed up in something as across the yard of bricks they go to start the 10-minute sprint to the checkered flag. Oh well. Let's see how this one goes. Quintin Violate leads the way, getting a push from Shlemislav Lemonek. On the outside, Dallas Pataska starts to lose momentum as they power themselves out of turn number 2. Oh, just this pack, this absolute pack. It's a sea of cars. Where do you look? Where do you slot in? If you're Violate at the front of the field, you'll be thinking, well, I'd like to get away from this lot, and I can't. It's like just a horde of angry bees or something like that we're seeing right here. Got a car in the wall, and that's going to be further down your field. But well,
whoa, they're 4 wide too deep. How are they making this work? They're not really gaining any time. But this looks incredible. This is absolutely superb. The timing screen on the left-hand side can't even keep up with how crazy all of this is going.
But this is where you need to partner up with people now. This is where you need to find a lane. If you're going to go to the outside, right, you need somebody to go with you, don't you? You need that tactical play, and this is where if you've got teams that are together on track, they can maybe work together and move forward as a pack.
I don't even know who's leading. It's close between Violate and Pataska. Pataska's getting a push from Nuno Henriquez in the Portuguese car. There pops out one of the USAs. That's Elvis Rankin. A Belgium car's down on the inside, almost onto the grass. Oh, keep it clean here, boys.
Big one.
You call it a big one. That's a huge one, and basically half the field gets involved in it.
Wow. It's a case of who do we see? Setsor's involved, Pinto's involved, Violate is involved, which is huge in terms of this race for France. And you're going to see a number of cars heading to pit road with some significant damage. And the thing is, once again, well, they do get fast repairs in this race, so they do get to at least get the cars repaired.
Yeah, but there's no time to really use it. But the time that you'll roll onto pit lane and use that fast repair, you might already be almost half a lap, if not a full lap back, depending on how long it takes you to nurse that car back onto the lane. Still an angry pack at the front. Christopher Danbeek is side by side with Maxime Briant, who has taken away the race lead. Elvis Rankin got mixed up in that one as well. So the points are really going to take a dramatic shift as we run about 2 wide, about 4 rows deep, heading down through the short chute. powering out of turn number 4. Brienne side by side with Pataska.
I could tell you that everybody from 26 down has been on pit road.
Well, you weren't far off, Paul.
Well, here we go. Here's another look at it then. Let's see what happened. It was one of the Belgian cars down down low that squeezed up, and that just, well, it was just all a chain reaction then at that point. There's very little you can do because you're carrying so much speed. If you hit the brakes, well, you lose control of the car yourself. Yeah, you're a passenger at that point.
Body parts went flying across the track, tires went scrambling, debris everywhere. Here comes Yaltayan though. Oh, they're 3 wide for the race lead. Pataska's trying to go the long way around. I don't even know how the points are going to shake out with this new race leader though. It is Dallas Pataska.
Yeah, and look at that. He chopped off the nose, went straight down low. He wanted to be on that low side, but, well, Schiff on the high line. And speaking of the high line, Christopher Dan beats now, making it 3 wide through 4.
Who's going to get the biggest push there? I think Maxime Brient's giving the bump to Dallas Pataska. Christopher Dambeach is getting the push then, I think, from Kenny Roosens. Losing out in the middle is Philip Schiff. Oh, that was close for a moment. Schiff almost bumpers his way down to the inside. I don't know how they're keeping this clean, to be completely honest.
Yeah, this is incredible. They've been going 3 by 3 by 3, and there's the points as they stand. I mean, you might as well just throw the points sheet into a blender and just see what comes out of it with how this race has been so far.
Look at USA. Poland, I don't know how they've managed to survive, but they currently have leapfrogged even France in Group C. Group D, it's close between Russia and Italy, just 5 points separating the two of them. The defending champions, Germany, have started to build up a lead in Group A. Again, these are not by any means final. Given how chaotic these front pack is going, I'm not just talking about surviving, I'm just talking about the fact that positions are changing so frequently.
Yeah, this is, as you said, our timing is scoring. Oh, there's been enough a big one. That's 4 cars. They're down. They're out. Ruben Bonga. Yeah, Biko. Schiff was involved in that. I mean, Schiff, a lap earlier than that, he was looking a bit uneasy in that front pack.
Yeah, he was in the middle, didn't really have much he could do, wasn't getting help, was moving up and down through the lane. Pataska, you can see, is just getting pushed forward by Maxime Briant as Christopher Dambeach. Not really getting too much assistance, at least for now. The Norwegian car of Yaltayan is still down on the inside. Here's a look at what happened further back. They were 4 abreast, and yeah, it was Schiff that just got squeezed. I don't even think that was him being uncomfortable. He had nowhere to go.
No, he was the meat in the sandwich was Schiff, so yeah, definitely nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. 3 wide, possibly? No. The Italian car of Lombardi trying to go and make it 3 wide, but you're not going to do that on your own. You need a dance partner with you.
You need a bump partner, as it is. So 4 minutes left. We're doing about 57-second laps. So I would suspect probably 4 to go.
4.5 laps, yeah.
Yeah, 4 to go this next time around. And they're coming up on traffic. We should point that out.
Yes, the cars that have come out of the pit road after one of the couple of big incidents that have happened in this race. You called it was a huge incident, wasn't just a big one. And, well, these drivers, if you're the leader right now and you're seeing lap traffic ahead of you, you're trying to pick up the draft of that car.
I'll be honest as well, we saw one of the onboards, Paul. I was a bit scared. I can't imagine what it's like for some of these guys. And remember, with a direct drive wheel, the amount of force that can put out, some of these crashes are not going to be insignificant. No. Points on the right-hand side, because of Schiff's incident, France is back to the lead of Group C. The UK is looking comfortable in Group B. It is close between Japan and Norway. It is going to change all over.
Changed, yeah. And oh, look at that! Just sitting right on the gearbox, and you're absolutely flat out. Not quite on the rev limiter, but you're feathering the throttle. You don't want to end up into the rear crash structure of the car in front. My goodness, the precision, the level of precision that you have to have. Look at how close they're getting. Our camera almost going. And there you go. There's little bumps there. Just a little tap along in front. Lombardi's going, come on, Christopher, let's move forward.
If Roger Penske is watching, here's an idea. Throw these Indy Pro 2000s out at Indianapolis. Maybe not with 46 of them, but still, it puts on a show. I don't even think they have the gearing to really break away, so you're...
Oh!
And that's a nasty one. Brienne gets mixed up in it. Oh, the points are going to take a huge swing here.
That was Brienne pushing up high. That was what happened there, and that just then had that knock-on effect. Well, one driver who'll be happy about all these incidents, by the way, is Pete Berriman. Is up to 15th.
I told you he was out of the danger zone. In terms of movers and shakers, Charlie Summers, Maximilian Beneke, plus 30 after starting down at the tail end. Jarl Tyen in that Norwegian car that sits in second is plus 26. We'll take a look at it here. Out of turn 2, Briant, I think, just washes up the track. He spins around Christopher Danby and takes Dino Lombardi along with him for a ride.
That's a nasty, nasty hit, is that. Here we go, up on board. He's just pushed wide. That's caused the cars to get unsettled and... well, hello the wall.
Hello the wall indeed. So it should be 2 laps to go. White flag in the end next time around. Pataska and Tyen have broken away. They'll be just outside of drafting range, I think, and indeed that gap is opening up because there is some lap traffic. One of the Portuguese cars that's giving that toe, punching the hole in the air for Pataska. Well, this could be a drag race to the line. We're in for a photo finish, I think.
If I'm Jarl Tyen right now, I just sit behind for the time being and wait for the exit of turn 4 and then pounce.
So here we go. Out of turn 4, it will be the white flag. Penultimate time across the yard of bricks. 3 packs have formed. First and second, third, fourth, and fifth, and then sixth on back, as I think Yuri Kastorp has had another issue in what has been a tumultuous race for the Netherlands substitute driver, the Red Bull Racing Esports.
Oh.
Who was that?
I don't know, but it was a car in the middle of turn 1. That's not something you want to see.
Well, the points have updated again. And, oh, Tyen and Pataska for the race lead are side by side. I think the Norwegian driver might even have cleared. He has. Now, does Pataska, who has plenty of experience in open wheel cars across of many different ovals, time this up properly? Points on the right-hand side. You can see the way it's swinging. But for the final time out of turn number 4, here comes the top 2 cars. Tyen uses the draft almost to perfection, and he should win race 2 of our group stages in the Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations. Pataska takes it all the way to the yard of bricks, and Pataska steals it. I thought Jarl Tyen had that in the bag, Paul. But by 0.004 of a second, Dallas Pataska for Team USA makes it 2 wins in a row for the Stars and Stripes.
Oh, what a start to this this Cup of Nations. Absolutely tremendous. Drag to the line. We've still got drivers fighting and trying to get across the line to finish this one, but my goodness. What a photo finish at the end there. Oh, we're having to avoid cars down the start-finish straight. Well, 2 of the Czech Republic cars working together to push across the line.
Well, you commentators cursed there, clearly, for the Norwegian car. I was convinced. I thought that Tyen had split the difference. He had timed his run with the lapped cars to perfection, but what a move from Dallas Pataska at the line. 0.004 of a second. USA 2 for 2 so far in this 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. How are the points going to shake out? I have absolutely no idea. Norway in second. Victor Preto rounds out the podium in another photo finish with Denis Grabowski for Russia in 4th. Poland in the top 5 as well. Sotomuto, another impressive showing for him. He finishes up in 6 positions, plus 34 from where he qualified. Gives you an indication of the carnage and how people were able to pick their way through and make moves when it mattered. Charlie Summers and Maximilian Beneke for the UK and Team Germany, both plus 29, while Valentin Mandanuk is in 9th, with Jose Soria dropping down from his qualifying position, ending up at least inside of the top 10. 2 Spanish cars inside the top 10. Kirill Kolobusov for Russia in 11th, with Moreno Sorica in 12th, plus 35, the biggest mover in this 10-minute showdown. Shlemislav Lemenek in 13th, dropped 10 positions from where he qualified, but still gets some good points on the board for the Polish team. Peter Berryman, after missing the grid, at least has the top 15 to his name, with Kenneth Gulbrandsen 16th, Lucas Podesta in 17th, Phil Denez 18th, Shinsuke Kuno 19th, and Pedro Sanchez Albert through the top 20. Now we start getting to the cars that were mixed up in all of the calamities. Only 2 more cars on the lead lap. Ludwig Giddy in 21st, Martin Stefanko 22nd, and then Dylan Shrivens, Oscar Kopa, Norbert Leitner, Sindre Setzel, Sasha Gorle, Masafumi Aburame, Laszlo Shazbo, Diogo Pinto, all 1 lap down to complete the top 30 cars. But Nuno Henriquez for Portugal, Maxime Briant for France, Dino Lombardi for Italy, Ruben Bonga on those bonga drums for the Netherlands, with Dmitry Kovanov through the top 35. Quintin Violate, after starting on pole, got taken out in a... It's not the big one, it was the huge one. I think that puts it mildly, to put him down in 36. Philip Schiff got squeezed in a 3-wide situation. He finishes 37th, with Elvis Rankin, Jaden Ladek, and Christopher Dambiec in the top 40. Just 6 more cars in, excuse me, not 6 more cars, 8 more cars in the grid here today. Was Alessandro Bico, Kenny Rusens, Patrick Holtzman, all 1 lap down. James Pinsker, Yuri Kazop, Griffin Gardiner, and Dylan Burse. Both the Australians really not enjoying the best start to this Cup of Nations, with Christoph Kerekes down in 48th position. Well, take a breath and relax, because it's over, at least for now. And John, we thought it would be crazy. Didn't think it would be that crazy.
Wow, wow, wow. I cannot believe it. I need a cup of tea after that. That was unbelievable. You know, it was almost like when you get the really good pack racing in the likes of Moto 3, but it was like that throughout the whole field at the start. It was just absolutely phenomenal. Such a shame about the massive one. We were saying beforehand, you know, if there is a big crash and it happens near the front, it's going to take out a lot of cars, and that is what we saw. But incredible, incredible stuff. The biggest thing I noticed from that race was some incredible tactical play by Poland, because their fastest driver was right up pushing the top 5, and second and third drivers just worked together and sat behind the pack, always a couple of seconds off the back, managed to pick up 13th and 14th place, so around about that, and took home a huge haul of points. And what that of course means, with Poland taking so many points, USA, despite winning both races in very close circumstances that time, are now looking actually in danger of not getting the automatic promotion spots. So yeah, fantastic tactical race, and yeah, just brilliant to watch.
Well, I tell you what, I didn't think that Dallas Pataska had timed the run-up, but 0.04 of a second, Dallas did win that race, and we're now joined by race 2 winner, I should say. Dallas, talk to us about that one. I know you've done plenty of open-wheel racing here at the Brickyard, but that was on another level of insanity.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. That was super intense, and I find it pretty fitting that it was against Jarl, another oval guy, very well experienced, been above, you know, up in the Pro Series multiple years and whatnot. So I wasn't sure I was going to get there. The lap cars kind of made it tricky to get a good run, but I knew that he had went too early on me instead of waiting, and I just went for it, and here we are talking to you guys.
And talk to us about this Cup of Nations, Dallas, because I do think for Team USA, the lineup this year, it's not to say you weren't strong last year with Tom Abramitis and Robbie Foley in the mix as well, but with Phil Denez, with Elvis Rankin, you have 2 really top-level sim racers as part of your team now. Ross Banfield and yourself returning from last year. 2 wins in a row. But it's not as easy as that, because the way these points mix up, you need all 4 of your drivers to get good points over the course of these group stages. It's looking tough. You're in one of the toughest groups, points-wise, heading out of the second race of the group stage.
Oh, completely. And you know, it's been a pleasure to work with both Elvis and Phil this year. You know, last year it was tough. We got quite far, you know, working with Ross and the other guys, but you know, I've been able to learn a lot from both Elvis and Phil in the practice that we've done. And, you know, I'm just trying to soak everything up. It's, you know, I feel good about our chances making it to the final day, especially after these 2 back-to-back wins for Team USA. But, you know, you said it best, you know, it's a super tough group. I think Group C is ending up to be one of the stronger groups in the entire event right now. So, you know, we'll see how Ross does in this next event.
Well, congratulations, Dallas. I'm still a little bit in shock, and I think I gave the commentator's curse a bit to Jarl by claiming he was going to be the victor heading out and powering out of turn number 4. But you timed it to perfection, winner of race number 2. And, well, at least for now, you get to watch on from the sidelines, hopefully not having to go to the playoffs as well.
That's right, and we'll see. You know, fingers crossed. I got confidence in Ross. I've raced with him, been around him a fair bit, so I think he can get it done and hopefully push us over into the finals tomorrow.
So that was race 2 winner Dallas Pataska, USA 2 of 2 so far. Ready to go Rallycross racing now, but still trying to get a breath here, Paul. And heading into Rallycross, we know that Hell Lankenbanen can be a pretty physical track to race at. Plenty of passing opportunities. If you want to get physical, if you're not willing to get the chrome horn out, though, it can very much be a single file procession.
It certainly can, and it's a little bit of a tactical one as well. Of course, you've got that longer Joker lap, whereas at the majority of the US Rallycross tracks there are shorter Joker lap for them. So you've got to take that into account as well. But of course, with these shorter races here, short, sharp heat races, you've got to really just take it as quickly as you can here.
And you can take it, the Joker, on lap number 1. So if you're on the outside of the starting grid, that is very much the smart thing to do. Let's take a look at the points, though, John, and I want to get your sense heading in to this final group stage race. It's close in all 3 groups, if we're being completely honest now, other than Group D, where for Italy and Belgium, it's almost mathematically impossible because 64 is the most points you can get out of this Rallycross event because only one of your drivers competes. So it is basically done in Group D. Now the question is for Spain and Russia, who emerges on top heading out of the group stages. But in each of the other 3 groups, it is oh so tight. And in Group A, Germany and Portugal, they're looking better than USA, France, Japan, and Norway, who have got to be nervous heading into Hell Lankenbanen.
Oh, absolutely. And even though there are less points at stake, it's still all to play for because it'd be so easy for one driver to make one mistake, maybe not even their own mistake, and drop back. We saw massive inroads there from the UK. They had a great race as well, especially with the trouble they had going into it. But yeah, 2 drivers having a strong performance, and that's really elevated them up into a good position. As you say, so close between Japan and Norway. Will Japan rue the drop of positions in the first race? You know, and Norway also, we saw spinning off a couple of times. It's really going to come down to the wire there. Obviously, as you say, you know, USA taking 2 race wins, and it's suddenly, looking at Group C, France have gone from being the top team in the whole competition to being on the outside of the group in terms of actually making the automatic qualification spots. So yeah, absolutely phenomenal so far. I think that Group C, we keep talking about it, but you know, Poland have probably not been ultimately the quickest of those teams, yet they're sitting on top because they played that last race tactically. USA have gone out and got 2 wins, they're still in trouble. France, arguably the best all-rounder so far. That accident towards the end of that race really cost them because suddenly they've gone from being favourites to being right at the back, and they're going to have a tough time in this Rallycross race.
Well, I tell you what, it is time to take another breather and get ready for the final of our group stage races. Rallycross racing in the Subaru WRX STI at one of the most famed Rallycross venues in all of global motorsports, Hell Lankenbanen. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with that final group stage race right after this.
Come on.
Stage is about to come to a close in the 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. 2 races with 1 left to go, and 1 driver for each of our 16 nations has the chance to lock their team into tomorrow's finals day to fight for $25,000 in prize money. Happy you can join us once more on TraxionGG, VCO Esports, iRacing, social media, and here on RaceBot TV, where myself, Arjuna Kenkipati, is joined by Paul Smith, the man in the hat, and John Munro for some expert punditry. And John, you and I were just talking in that little break there. The crucial thing in each of the prior races was the team game, making sure that all of your drivers scored points. Here, though, 1 driver, 1 for each country. Very different sort of a situation. And in the most physical form of motorsports, surviving that last race might be just as important as surviving this race.
Oh, absolutely. And there's so much pressure on these individual drivers. This is probably the most pressure we're going to see, because in the previous races, as you say, you can work as a team. If you're maybe not the fastest, you can kind of get away with it by being safe and picking up good points. In this race, there's going to be nowhere to hide. You know, you have to be on the pace, you have to be there. And trust me when I say these drivers, they are going to be feeling the pressure, because there is so much at stake, and it could be them that ends up winning or losing their team's chances in this competition.
And Paul, feels like we're back at home. Rallycross action, the 2 of us. Let's be honest, though. There's 2 drivers here that we're expecting to do pretty well. They're the drivers that we commentated on in the iRacing Rallycross World Championship in 2021. The 2020 champion, Johan Hart, and the most unluckiest man in that World Championship, Bo Albert.
Yeah, you would imagine them, but, you know, there's a couple other drivers that do well, and a couple that appeared in our All-Star races as well. Jamie Fluke being one of those, who's the United Kingdom choice for this race as well. So there's plenty of Rallycross experience out there, you know. I wouldn't say that, you know, and of course, don't forget, somebody could just pull out a complete surprise and shock us all on this one.
I know Phil Dinez, for example, had looked at doing the World Championship a couple of years ago. He's not in the race today, but that's the kind of thing that you somewhat need to expect. There's surprises in a tournament format that has plenty of surprises for us. So we do have qualifying for this race. Unlike what we saw last time, where the grid was ordered by the results out of group race number 1 in the group standings, this is actually going to have some qualifying. And nailing a lap here, Paul, we know just how tricky it is, because there's a couple of points on this track where you do need to nail the line to make sure you maximize the grip and the momentum you can carry through the course here today.
Yeah, turn 2, turn 3 at the bottom of the hill as well are 2 crucial corners that you need to have that inside line and work the curb to get yourself pulled out the corner and out to towards the end of the lap, as some of the drivers, well, Bo Albert's abandoning straight away one effort, so he wasn't happy with how his car was going. But this is one of those crucial corners. You want to be up over that curb, and Italy showing that they've not got that line. They've not been watching out us on commentary and on broadcasts here, Arjuna.
No, and not watching you, Paul. IRX All-Star Invitational Heat winner. That's Simone Maria Marciano setting up for a qualifying lap to build the momentum up the hill out of the final corner. A little bit of a jump into the air, onto the anchors for turn 1. Joker to the left-hand side of the track. It is a dirt joker as well, so getting yourself rotated early. Handbrake may be an option to get that car turned around, but it's not always quickest to use the handbrake. That's what we know from the World Championship drivers. Marciano misses the inside. That's going to cost him a whole heap of time as he climbs his way back up the hill through the left-hand sweeper. Such a fun technical corner to get right on the dirt into the final corner. A little bit wide on entry, a little bit wide on the mid part of the corner as well, but what did we expect? Bo Albert currently provisional in terms of qualifying, 36.779, the marker to beat right now. He is the only driver with 90 seconds to go in qualifying to put a lap time down.
Well, you would imagine that Simone would have been one who would have picked up on the line, seeing as he was actually spotting for his Alta's teammates in the Rallycross World Championship. So, whereas Bo Albert, look at he's just getting these lines and he's setting himself up for the lap. Take a nice wide line and launch out of the corner, up over the jump, heading towards turn number 1. Brake, hard brake, and you can see the amount that the cars are bouncing about, and you've got a lot of suspension travel in these through 1 into 2. Then plunge downhill, you've got a little right-hander here, 3, that sets you up for turn number 4, and look at that burr. Pull of the handbrake, get right over that curb. That's what you're needing to do here to be quick. Staying on board, then sweep it in. Look at how he launches the car and sets it up for that left-hander. Tight in, nice and slow, no use of the handbrake. Power out the corner, across the line goes Burr.
Does he improve? No, he doesn't. So still a 36.779, the marker to beat. Currently is an Altus 1 and 2. Simone Maria Marciano is in second. Jamie Fluke has just been pipped by about half a tenth of a second, but here he comes, the Northern Irishman across the line, and he makes it up into second. The shocking thing, though, Johan Harth, the 2020 world champion, qualifies in 14th position. Maybe he's looking to have a little bit of fun, but it's Rallycross time. Fast, frenetic heat races to get us started before we head into the feature race itself. Only 3 laps in each of these heats, but doesn't mean there's much time to recover from early race dramas. Bo Albert, Simone Maria Marciano, and Sam Coitet will be on the front row, with Jonathan Poulet and Ross Banfield in row number 2. Carlos Fenellosa for Spain will be alongside Oscar Bixrud and Andre Martins through the 8 cars in this heat number 1. Going to be important for the Altus team to work together to make sure that they don't have too much drama. 5 cars will advance from each of our features. It means 6 will walk away without the chance to head into the feature race itself, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. That outside line you see right out there, Carlos Fenellosa, he's lining himself up. He wants to take the Joker lap immediately. So does Sam Coitet as well. They want to get that Joker lap out the way. With only 3 laps, this is going to be, well, balmy.
Remember, Joker on the left-hand side, so the cars on the outside, Coitet and Fenellosa, might be the ones to do it, but the engines rev, and we are racing for the first heat of 2. Bo Albert on the inside, his Altus teammate has to defend, as here comes the move from Belgium and Portugal. Andre Martins gets 2 in 1, as well as Oscar Bixrud, who's off the track on turn number 2 into the wall as well, but Bo Albert tries to run away. Marciano side by side for second.
Oh, Bixrud, I mean, you would have thought one of those, this is a thing that he thrives in, does Oscar, but yeah, not the best of starts heading into turn number 2, and he's behind those drivers who have jokered. Oh, running wide there, Simone! Oh, contact!
Well, healthy dose of throttle has at least pointed it back in the right direction for Jonathan Poulet, but he'll lose 2, not just to Sam Coitet, but Ross Banfield gets on through as well, so Joker now forthcoming for the Belgian car. Remember, left-hand side of the screen, you can see which cars have jokered by the crown symbol, but you can also see which group each of these cars are in, because remember, points are awarded by your overall position, but you're really fighting with the cars in your group, as Ross Banfield hooks it onto the curb on the inside. Sam Coitet gets it just about straightened up, and meanwhile, Bo Albert has run away as here comes Carlos Fenellosa to the inside.
Ross Banfield, it looked like he was doing an old-fashioned slide job from the dirt oval scene, didn't it? The way that he just threw that into the corner, and then, wow, he's not missed out on that because of the contact, but these drivers, they're the ones who have taken that Joker lap. Marciano now, Simone Maria Marciano for Italy, onto the Joker lap. Look at how everybody's just queuing up here.
By the way, 63% asphalt, 37% dirt at just over 1 kilometer in length for this track. Not always. Well, let's get back to that later, because there goes Ross Banfield around. He got spun down the hill at turn 4. Marciano and Fenellosa bump doors. Fenellosa's off the road. He'll drop out of a transfer position. Out front, though, winning heat number 1. It's Bo Albert claiming some valuable points for Australia. Sam Coitet, Andre Martins, Simone Maria Marcheno will advance along with him. Jonathan Poulet will also get a transfer position. For Carlos Fenellosa, Ross Banfield and Oscar Bixrud, they will be watching on now to see how things shake out. No more chances for them to get onto the grid. Here's the grid, though, for heat number 2. Jamie Fluke, David Toth, Alexei Nesov on the front row with Hayata Asaga, Viktor Smolyarchuk, and Martin Sirotek, row number 2. And then 7th and 8th positions, the 2020 iRacing Rallycross World Champion Johan Harth and Alexander Thieber will bring up the tail end of the grid. And that's crucial, Paul. Johan Harth has seen Team USA being eliminated from the feature. He knows if he can work his way up the grid, good points are on offer for the French team.
Yeah, and points are awarded in this heat race as well, don't forget. So, well, here we go. It's game time.
There's tension in the air, as there always is in Rallycross racing, when the cars are lined up on the start and ready to shoot themselves down into turn number 1. Engines will begin to pick up, engines will sing, the lights will illuminate. Launch control sends these cars from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. They are incredible machines, and they are ready to rumble for the second heat of 2. 3 laps on the board. Jamie Fluke has his Apex Racing teammate just behind him. Watch for the cars on the outside to peel to the Joker. And guess what? Johan Harth has got the launch he needed. Carnage for Team Germany, who gets mixed up in that one. Already, though, to the Joker goes one of the cars. Jamie Fluke lets on past Johan Harth to the race lead.
Oh, that's crucial for Johan then. He needed to get that jump, and what a launch he got indeed. Yes, he didn't get a qualifying time in that helped. Oh, Fluke's run wide. Fluke's run wide. He's lost 2 positions there.
Remember, top 5 through to the feature. Fluke at least holds on from Nesov, and now who bumps the inside wall and goes for a trip through the grass. David Toft will be coming in the Team Hungary car to chase down the F4 and GT driver in real-world competition. None of the top 3 have jokered just yet. Martin Sirotek goes on lap number 2. Toth and Asaga have jokers. So where does Sirotek come out in comparison to Toth? He's in between Toth and Asaga. Remember, top 5 advanced Paul, so this next time on the Joker is going to be crucial for Jamie Fluke. Alexei Nesov going slow.
Yeah, he is, and it's not looking good for Nesov. Sirotek, of course, who we saw take to the Joker, he'll be looking to get ahead. Alexander Thieber, he's in that little bit of a interesting spot because of that incident on the opening lap. What does that mean? Will he finish in that top 5?
1 kilometer to go in the group stage here for some of these teams. To the Joker goes Alexei Nesov. Can go aggressive on the entry, but didn't turn it in as well as he would have liked. Jamie Fluke has jokered and come out in 3rd. Johan Harth has waved goodbye to the rest of the field, as we kind of expected. Maybe just having fun in qualifying was the Frenchman. Jamie Fluke a little bit wide through turn 4, holds on to it at least for now. So the grid for heat number 2, or rather the grid for the feature, will be set as up the hill. Johan Harth wins heat 2. David Toth, Jamie Fluke, Martin Sirotek, and Hayata Asaga all advance, but we wave goodbye to Alexei Nesov, Alexander Thieber, and Viktor Smolyarchuk for Russia, for Germany, for Poland. They're going to be watching on now with their fingers in their mouths. The fingernails will be, I'm sure, being chewed down to the very last vestiges they've got there, because now France is in a good position. I think Poland's probably still good, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, we will get to look at some points in a few moments' time once they've been all totted up and correct, but you have to say Bo Albert is looking very strong, but now he's going to be joined on the front row by Johan Harth, so those two have got some previous from the World Championship. There's your points, though. Germany, though, that's crucial. They're 2nd place. This is incredible, these points. UK, I think they're safe and sound, but it's Japan and Norway. Japan should actually be through with that result as well, because of Bixrud not scoring. And look at that, USA 3rd place.
And well, now the only question is, does France leapfrog Poland? So we are guaranteed for USA and Australia to head into the playoffs that will take place after this. There is lots of intrigue happening here, Paul, and...
Oh! Race control, penalty to Spain from Heat 1 will be put behind USA in results from Heat 1.
But how interesting. Oh, but that's not going to make any too much difference in the points overall.
No.
Because France still has got the chance to get more points here, and both Spain and USA missed out. So it's not like that USA is missing out on a feature race appearance here. It's just the fact that they'll get a couple more points for pride, in effect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. But race control obviously weren't happy with the move that Spain made.
So they're in warm-up right now. We'll get a 60-second window before we head into the race itself. And a reminder that if you're watching on and you're confused as to the Joker on the left-hand side, that only updates after they get to the start-finish line once they've taken the Joker pull. So if they take it on the last lap of the race, you won't see it illuminate until the very last moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You'll see it on our graphics and after they cross the line. So yeah, it can be a little bit confusing, but that is just how we get the data from the start from this simulator here. And that means that these drivers now, the 5 laps. It's a bit more like we would see in a heat race, isn't it, Arjuna, from the World Championship? So a few of these drivers gives them a little bit more time to be tactical.
But it's not much time. It's still half the race distance of the features in the World Championship. So we'll see how things cycle out. But it is a short sprint from here to the end of the group stages where Bo Albert, Johan Hart and Sam Koitert will be on the front row. Australia, France and the Netherlands. The Netherlands and Australia, in effect, just playing for some pride. David Toth, Andre Martins and Jamie Fluke will be on row number 2. While starting back in 7th, it's Simona Maria Marcheno with Hayata Asaga and Jonathan Poulet alongside. Alexei Nesov for Russia will bring up the tail end of this grid. So, how's this going to go? How aggressive are different drivers going to be? I think the case is that only Germany and the Czech Republic are close, and we don't seem to have a Czech Republic driver in the field. So I think basically the results are somewhat set in stone here.
They pretty much are, aren't they? But we know how aggressive Johan Hart is. He'll be going all out here.
And we saw the launch that the Frenchman got in his heat. We are ready to go for the final race in the group stages of the 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. It's a good launch from the front row. Albert has managed to get the jump on Johan Hart, who's going to pinch the Australian, and the 2 World Championship competitors come together with one another. More bad luck for Bo Albert in Rallycross competition, but it is the Portuguese driver that leads the way. Here comes the move from Simona Maria Marcheno around the outside, down the hill into turn 4.
Yeah, you're not going to get it down the outside, but it cuts it back to the inside. Try and get the run out the corner.
Bo Albert!
Bo Albert's around. I said that he needed some good luck, and unfortunately he's not getting it in this feature race here, that's for sure. But Marcheno's being pushed around there. That was a bit naughty, that. We always say that, you know, it's like being in the octagon here in Rallycross, and well, we're certainly seeing that out there on track.
Sometimes it's more like bare-knuckle boxing, if we're being completely honest with one another. Johan Hart to the Joker last time around emerges behind both Jamie Fluke and Sam Koitert, who have jokered already. Poor Bo Albert, really, he needs to put away the Rallycross car for a while, because he just cannot find any sort of luck in it. Here comes Jamie Fluke, though, already on the back of Alexei Nesov, who was the one that pushed around David Toth, and he's got it wrong. Fluke just about gets it stopped in time to slip it down the inside.
That was a nice move there from Fluke. Took advantage of it. Toth is through, and well, we've got more to the Joker. So Toth and Nesov to the Joker lap this time by, and well, Fluke second place. If he could get close enough to Martins, then he's got the chance to jump in Andre and taking the lead here in this Rallycross race.
Bit wide through turn 4 as there's some contact further back. I think Jonathan Poulet's had an issue because he's down the order. We managed to regain a couple, but he's now behind Alexei Nesov and Bo Albert, so he's down into 9th position. Might even have a slowdown penalty to serve, which you can pick up here if you cut the course. The iRacing stewards, the automated stewards, will get on your case and tell you to slow down a certain amount of time. Looks like Bo Albert's to the inside of Alexei Nesov, trying to get physical and bump his way past. There's a bit of aftermath there as Nesov now to the outside trying to get the up and under, but Bo Albert parks it on the apex and holds on. As down the hill in turn 4, it looked close between all 3 of these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Hungary, the Netherlands and France all together, and Johan Hart, well, he's trying his best to get ahead. They're parking it on the apex, sees half a gap. Well, he gets the run as well from the inside. That's interesting that he's able to get that run on the Netherlands as Martins now, the final one onto the joke lap on the last lap.
And he's going to come out almost 3 abreast. He bumps into Johan Hart. Sam Coitert sees an opportunity to try and slip it down the inside. Gets one, unable to get past Andre Martins. Down the hill for the final time, Coitert washes wide. Johan Hart will steal 4th position and looks to get a podium away from the Portuguese driver around the outside. That's bold, that's brave. Pushed wide. Oh, race control's going to have a look at that one. I don't think
down
Johan
the inside. Look at that, Netherlands. Look at that, brilliant. Ever the opportunist takes 2 places at the end to finish on the podium.
Oh, what a race that was. 5 laps of action. Jamie Fluke wins the final of the group races in this 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. David Toth, Sam Coitert, the podium positions. Late race drama for Andre Martins and Johan Hart, the 2 of them coming together in the penultimate corner, but Bo Albert at least some recovery to 6th for him. Alexei Nesov, Hayata Saga, Jonathan Poulet, and Simona Maria Marcheno round out the 10 cars in this feature race. And, well, John, I'm glad you were here to see some Rallycross action. Very reminiscent of what we've seen in the World Championships as well. But really, I mean, that feature race really didn't matter, given that the points were basically set in stone before we even got to those final 5 laps.
Yeah, of course, it's a little bit of a shame when there wasn't as much on the line for the last race, but we saw some great action nonetheless. You know, lots of contact, lots of high-energy stuff. I'm actually really happy for Jamie Fluke because he obviously qualified well, but watching him in the first turn, he got bumped off wide into 2nd, he got bumped again down to 4th, so he had a bit of a recovery drive to try and get back through and was not in a great position for the feature race. So I have to say he fully deserves that. A great drive from him. Obviously, disappointing for Bo Albert, but at the end of the day, they were already kind of out of contention anyway. It's all about the playoffs for a lot of these teams now. And yeah, just isn't it crazy that we found USA winning the first 2 events and now they're going to have to enter a playoff. At least they're on good form. The drivers are clearly doing well, so they're going to have a good chance. But I just can't believe it. Could you imagine we have the race winner of the first 2 races might not even make the final?
That's what makes this format, this concept, so intriguing. The fact you can't rely on just winning. You need all 4 of your drivers to show up and perform time in, time out. Jamie Fluke, one of the nicest guys in sim racing. Great to see him take the checkered flag in this one. But Paul, we'll get the confirmation of the points very shortly, and we'll talk about then how this playoff race is going to go. But this playoff race, mentioned it before, Temple of Speed will take the Porsche 911, the new generation Porsche 911 992 Cup car to Monza, where turn 1 going to be more treacherous than what we've seen so far today.
Absolutely, and of course it is the traditional finale round track for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup that we see on iRacing, and yeah, that so far hasn't used the new 992. That was on the 991 for the first 3 years of that championship. So some of these drivers do have experience of racing this car, or at least a similar car to this one around this track in a huge pack. It's going to be a big pack. Everybody out there who is trying to get their country into those final 2 transfer spots.
There will be 32 cars lined up because 8 will have advanced directly from the group stages. The remaining 8 teams are squabbling for the final 2 spots in tomorrow's semi-final. Excuse me. Live broadcasting, excuse me there. John, I do want to talk, we'll get to that in a second. I want to talk about tomorrow a little bit while we get to this final playoff race in a couple of moments' time. We'll take a look at this format. Tomorrow, the semi-final is about going head-to-head. Very similar to what we've seen here today. All the cars are on the same track at the same time, but you're really only fighting one other team, where 5 of the winners in those head-to-head matchups will go directly through to the final.
Yeah, that is an exciting format. I mean, I was already really looking forward to today's action, and it's proved, you know, exactly why we were so excited about it, given the variety and all the different things you've got to keep an eye on, especially as broadcasters, trying to work out who's in a good position. And it shows you that anything can happen. Tomorrow, is, you know, head-to-head, even more exciting, because literally these drivers are going to know exactly who they're having to beat. We're going to see some action. If the 2 teams that happen to be going head-to-head come together on circuit, there's going to be fireworks.
And that's just one race. So don't get much time to squabble like we've seen here today. Got to deliver. All 4 drivers have to deliver when the pressure is on. Believe these are finalized points. Heading out of the group stages to confirmation on who is going to the playoff here today. Portugal and Germany in Group A directly through to the final, so it leaves Czech Republic and Hungary to go to that Monza track in the 992 Cup car. In Group B, UK dominant in that group. Japan, pretty strong. We thought we'd see them be good. A bit of a shock to see Norway and Netherlands, such strong lineups across those 2 cars. World Championship experience for Norway, plenty of top-level competition for the Netherlands, but both cars just not had the luck on their side. In Group C, I think it's fair to say that Poland is a bit of a shock result to have won that group. France advances with them. USA and Australia have to go through the scramble of the playoff race. And then in Group D, Spain and Russia go on through. 3 World Championship drivers for Italy, not enough to secure direct qualification to the finals. They'll be joined by Belgium in what is going to be a 15-minute showdown. Paul, surprise?
I mean, I am surprised to see Poland at the top of Group C. However, I did say that they would be ones to keep an eye on for this one. So it's great to see them at the top of that standing. The race stewards were just triple checking those points before they went and launched the final session. But yeah, it has been confirmed then. Czech Republic, Hungary, Norway, Netherlands, USA, Australia, Italy and Belgium all fighting it out for the final 2 slots for their particular countries. And it is going to be a bare-knuckle fight, is this one, because Monza, the Cathedral of Speed, wow. It's going to be anybody's race.
Is it the Cathedral or the Temple?
I say Cathedral.
I think it's Temple.
Either way, it's a religious building of which they go and celebrate the speed of that venue.
Well, in terms of you, John, what's the biggest surprise there? Of course, the format. I think there's some people who are a bit shocked that USA can win 2 races and still end up in the playoffs. But which team is the biggest surprise to you? I think maybe the Netherlands, if you ask me. It's really shocking to see the caliber of driver they have, and really didn't even get off the ground to start things off at the Hungaroring.
No, they didn't. Italy in a similar boat, really, having struggles early on, and both Netherlands and Italy both ended up on 122 points, which is, it's not even just didn't make the automatic qualification spots. They're actually quite a long way away from making it as well. So I think we're going to maybe see a resurgence from those 2 in the last race. Norway were looking very quick early on, just a bit inconsistent, so maybe they're ones to watch as well. And of course, as you say, the USA, if they were in any of the other groups, I think apart from the UK, they would have won the groups. They would have won Group A, they would have won Group D, but instead they're 3rd in Group C. So they're going to feel hard done by. They're under a lot of pressure, but given their current form, I think they're going to be very difficult to stop.
Well, we are now joined by winner in the 3rd group stage race of this 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. Jamie Fluke joins us now. Jamie, so glad to see the nicest guy in sim racing get some luck as well. And now you get to watch on and see what is going to be a pretty crazy race at Monza without any drama.
Yeah, that's the plan. Can you guys hear me all right? Sorry, I just had to reset up my TeamSpeak stuff.
We got you loud and clear.
Oh, excellent, beautiful. I do, yes, get to sit back and watch, how things go for the sort of playoff race here. But yeah, I'm just delighted to actually finally pick up a Rallycross win. I spent however many weeks doing the IRX All-Stars one and didn't win any of them. So to pick up this one, yeah, it means a lot. Yeah, it's a big thing for me and a big thing for the team as well. Leaves us in really good shape for tomorrow.
How much do you love this format, Jamie? I think it's really one of the most unique things you can do on iRacing. It's paired with drivers across different teams. You've got this point structure, which means all 4 of your drivers have to perform. It's not just about winning the races. It's just something that you show up at and have some fun. And the best part about it is if you win, there's a $10,000 prize to share amongst the 4 of you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I really do enjoy the format. Loved doing this last year. And I think I sort of thrive when there's not an awful lot of time to prepare for something. Like if we've got, actually I would nearly prefer if we didn't know anything going in and just like, all right, here's the session, this is what you got to do. I would love that personally if we had no information to work with. But yeah, the format works really well for me. It's a lot of fun. We get to work with different guys as well that we wouldn't normally work with. And yeah, the prize money as well, if we get there, that's a nice bonus as well.
And I have to ask, A lot of the people were trying to guess the combinations. Did you guess any of them, or were you pretty far off?
So we guessed the Indy Pro at Indianapolis, kind of by process of elimination there, and well, the Rallycross, it could only be at 2 tracks, so I had a bit of time to prepare for both. But for the road one, no, didn't have a clue about the Audi at Hungaroring, so kind of improvised that as soon as we got the announcement on that. Tomorrow as well, that's going to be an even bigger unknown. Today was a little bit easier to work out, so fingers crossed that anything that we do prepare for tomorrow is on the schedule. Otherwise, it might be a tricky one, but I think we're all in the same boat and we can only do the best that we can.
Well, I'm going to be thrown under the bus here because, Jamie, you've got plenty of experience of racing here at Monza in the Porsches. Okay, it was the 991 that you were racing in. What are these drivers are going to be expecting on, well, any of the laps, let alone lap 1?
Sure. So with the new car, at least, it's a little bit more prone to inside front locking. So you might see some incidents that might catch people out just with the really heavy braking zones that you have at Monza. The slipstreaming is always going to be a huge thing. Expect some 2 and 3 wide action into the chicanes. So there's a lot of activity to be had here, especially because the races are quite short. Well, this one race will be quite short, and it's sort of win or bust as well. So everyone's going to be hard at it, full aggression, and expect some fireworks from this.
And I will say you've got a good taste in viewing stuff with what you've got on the screen there on the right. But looking
don't worry. I was just about to read you guys.
looking at tomorrow, then is it just going to be a case of now just chill out, relax, get an early night, and then wait for that 2 hours before to find out what the combination is, or have you already sort of starting planning ahead as to what you could possibly be looking forward to?
Sure. So I think I'll still do some prep tonight. We know that the Ford Fusion will be on the cards tomorrow, and I haven't got trying that yet since the last time that we did this. So probably some work at that. But yeah, it's still a sensible night. I'm not going to be sitting to all hours practicing every single combination and wear myself out that way. I'm just going to keep it, sensible enough, and hopefully go into tomorrow with a fresh mindset and hopefully a strong performance as well.
Thanks for joining us, Jamie. You can go and relax now for a little bit, and I'm sure you'll be relaxing, but I'm not sure how calm he's going to be, given that tomorrow is going to be helter-skelter, and I just don't even know how tomorrow's going to go. Remember, semi-finals up first, head-to-head, 5 teams versus 5 teams, but you'll see 5 directly due to the feature itself, the final itself, where there'll be 3 races. Last chance qualifier will again be Rallycross. That time we'll see what venue it's going to be at. I have no idea how things will shake up. It will be very interesting. And John, I think that's the crucial thing. I think I loved what Jamie said there. He would have been much more interested in some ways if none of the even cars or tracks was announced before the combos were announced.
Yeah, I understand that as well, because I've been in a championship myself where we kind of knew a pool of circuits that might be used, and the thing that does is it opens up the question to drivers actually putting in so much time that they practice every single venue. So then you've got a decision to make as to how much practice you actually put in. Do you fully commit and try and learn everything, work on your lines for every single circuit, or do you just try and learn the car as well as you can? And I can understand why some drivers might prefer they knew nothing at all, but at least this way it gives drivers a chance to familiarise themselves with the car, especially if they never race it on a regular basis, because then we just saw 16 drivers taking on hell. We would have had a lot more drivers taking on hell.
And I think one thing that we do need to emphasize heading into this playoff is points are reset. It's not like these points are going to carry over. Everyone starts from 0. 4 drivers, again, have to maximize points in a 15-minute showdown at the Temple of Speed. Here's one more look at the points pool. So Czech Republic, Hungary, Norway, Netherlands, USA, Australia, Italy, and Belgium. The 8 teams that we'll be fighting out now. Only 2 of them are gonna advance. No matter how things go, we're gonna be in for some pretty big shocks, I think, here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the drama, what happened last year in the event, and how the last chance qualifier really just can throw things up in the air for the drivers. So, you know, expect the unexpected here in this last chance qualifier to get into the semi-finals. You know, these countries, these teams will be desperate to make it to the second day, because that's where the big money is paid out at the end of the day. You want to get in there, because even if you finish in second in this last chance qualifier in terms of points, you get yourself into that finals day and you've got the exact same chance as everybody else in those finals.
Well, I think we're just about getting ready to go to Monza for this playoff race to head into 2 more teams into tomorrow's final showdown. For now, though, we're going to step aside for a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, where remaining teams will be fighting it out for what are the 2 final spots in tomorrow's finals day in this 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. We've landed here at the Temple of Speed. 16 countries have been whittled down to the 8 that will head directly into tomorrow's Day 2, the finals day in the 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. After 15 minutes of helter-skelter racing in a Porsche 911 992 Cup car here at Monza, we'll find out the next 2 cars, teams, countries that will head into the final along with them. Happy you can join us here on RaceBot TV, VCO Esports, TraxionGG, and across of iRacing social media, where myself, Arjuna Kenkipati, is joined by the man in the flat cap, Paul Smith, with John Munro alongside for some expert punditry. And John, I mean, so happy that you've been joining us here. You've been taking notes over the course of this evening so far. What are you most shocked with in terms of some of the action we've seen so far?
I'd say the freneticness of the first opening laps have been pretty shocking. I mean, to be honest, nothing's really shocked me. You know, I've been around the sim racing game for a long time in lots of different games, and it's always interesting how, with different damage models across different platforms, you will see drivers treating things a bit differently. You know, how much can I get away with in terms of contact? And certain championships and series, you'll see cars running side by side, but not wanting to get too close. With this, it has been like touring car racing from the get-go, which has surprised me a little bit, because iRacing does have, as we saw very clearly in the second race, a fairly extreme damage model, you know, and these cars can't take too much of a hit. So it's been really interesting to see how much the drivers have actually been pushing the boundaries. I just think that's down to the format of the competition. Everyone has got to be getting to the front as early as possible. They've got to make the moves happen when it counts. And at the end of the day, it's all a bit of fun as well. So drivers maybe are willing to take a few more risks than usual. And it's been exciting to watch for that reason. And especially across so many different disciplines, we've seen equal levels of excitement.
That new damage model really got a showcase with the Indy Pro 2000 at the Brickyard. Paul, I think, again, the thing to emphasize here is no matter how things shake out here in this playoff race, there are going to be some big names going home a little bit disappointed with how day one, this group stage and playoff day, has transpired for their country.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's been a couple of countries that we are surprised to see in this playoff for the final two slots in tomorrow's events. I mean, USA, winners in both the first and second race of the evening. They're in this playoff because it is all about the team game, is this type of event, and it's all well and good getting all the glory for winning the races, but it's how the team as a whole compete and compare. And unfortunately for them, they find themselves here in this last chance, and it's going to be gloves off. It's going to be absolute hell for leather. 15 minutes. It's going to be tremendous action that we see here.
I can tell you there's a bit of discussion going on as to how the grid is going to be set for this race, because it is done by the group stage standings, staggered by country. So like we saw in that second race at the Brickyard, they'll be ordered in the standings. It will be one driver from each country lines up, and then the second drivers, third drivers, etc., etc. 32 cars will be out on track at a track where we're expecting a bit of chaos. But once we survive turn number one, John, and we're assuming a lot of cars will at least survive, or hopefully will survive, then this is a track where drafting and making sure you time your runs, very similar to what we saw from Dallas Pataska in the Indy Pro 2000, to take the win at the checkered flag, stealing the win away from Norway in dramatic fashion. It's going to be important here as well.
Hugely important, and it's not just about surviving turn one either, it's about surviving turn three, and it's about surviving all of the chicanes, especially in the early laps. But as you say, slipstreaming is going to be a big thing. We all know and love Monza. It's a fantastic circuit, it's huge amounts of speed, and for that reason it's going to be all about getting a good corner exit, using the slipstream to your advantage, and who can be the best at braking late for the corners. We're definitely going to see contact on the apexes, you can guarantee it, with the drivers going out there, nothing to lose. It's going to be exciting. There is going to be carnage, as you know, Jamie predicted in the interview. He did say there would be fireworks, and yeah, I don't think any of us doubt that will happen. It's a case of who can manage the race best, use the car to their advantage, and make their way to the front.
And Paul, give us the update on how we got here. We'll talk about the points and the road that it's been across three very entertaining races to determine the lineup for this playoff.
Yeah, absolutely. The first race, then, it was all in the Audi RS8, the GT3 car at the Hungaroring. It was a team race, so all the four of the drivers from each country took part in that race. We saw a tremendous battle all the way through the field, and, well, it was Team USA who ended up taking the win. Elvis Ranking taking the car across the line after taking over from Phil Dennis. Then we went over to Indianapolis for the Indy Pro 2000, and 48 cars just a small grid out there on track. We were seeing 3-4 wide through each of those turns, and well, the predicted big one, it wasn't a big one. It was a huge one. It's wiped out pretty much half of the field in that one incident. We then had a couple of smaller incidents as well, which meant that we ended up with only about 20 cars finishing on the lead lap. But again, we thought Yaltian had done it. We thought he had that run to the line, and at the very last second, out from the slipstream, Dallas Pataska taking victory for the USA. And then we've just seen it at Hell Lankenbahn, then for the Rallycross round of the today's event. Three drivers sitting back and watching their teammates having to do it all on their own and to try and get themselves qualified. The big talking point of that one, of course, was the USA not making it to the feature race of that Rallycross race, which meant that they did not finish in the top 2 positions in their group. You can see them there, Group C, finishing in 3rd place. That was the big talking point of that final race at Hell Lankenbahn. And now we're heading to the playoff, and as you can see, Czech Republic, Hungary, Norway, the Netherlands, USA, Australia, Italy and Belgium, they've all got one final opportunity, one last chance of making it through to the semi-finals and finals tomorrow.
And I like how someone has just put it in the TraxionGG chat. Traxion in themselves, this is kind of like a penalty shootout for sim racing. Some way it's maybe a bit more like a golden goal here, John, but it's a format where really you can't rest on your laurels. That's what we're seeing here, right? It's one where you've got to be on top of your game, and even in a race like this where you think it might be hectic, maybe what we saw in race number 2, right, where Poland, some of their drivers just laid back a little bit, didn't get involved too aggressively at the start of the race. It meant they all scored good points, and heading into that final race, they basically had one hand on automatic qualification for the action tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the fact that they're being represented by all of their drivers is going to make a big difference. Everyone, of course, is spread out, so if your teammates are going to be at least 7 cars away from you at the start of the race, which is another thing to take into account. It might be difficult to work as a team in that aspect, but yeah, it is going to be frenetic. It's going to be exciting. Turn 1, we're going to have to watch out. USA, of course, will be leading the charge, having scored the most points, and they will feel, as I said earlier, hard done by. They will be looking to try and get out in front, but with the slipstream effect, anything can happen. Norway are going to be right up there as well. It'd be interesting to see who starts first out of Netherlands and Italy with the same amount of points too. And Australia, of course, coming from the back, got the most to do, but anything can happen.
And so here's a look at that run down into turn 1. Then you've got the Roger, the anti-cut curbs on each side of the chicane ready to spin you around into the gravel if you're not careful. And you've got the run through the Lesmos, up through Ascari. Plenty of passing opportunities at a track like this, Paul.
Absolutely, yeah. That run into the Rettifilio, you get that nice slipstream down the start and finish straight. Hard braking, one of the slowest points on the track is the Rettifilio, the first chicane. Then you come out of that. It's important to get a good run out of the chicane. You can counter any moves out of that into that first chicane. Can counter that, get the run out of the chicane through Cava Grande and then into the Della Roggia, the second chicane. Important to get, again, as with every corner, every part of this track, it's important to get the run out of the corners around this venue. Through the Lesmos, you're not really going to see anybody making any moves there, but what you're going to see people do is try and set themselves up for the run then out of the second Lesmo, down towards, plunge underneath the old bank, and then uphill braking into the Ascari chicane. You can abuse the curbs on the left-hand side, don't really ride the right-hand curb that much, and then down towards the final corner. It's the Parabolica. I will always call it the Parabolica, but of course it's the Michele Alboreto corner, named after such a tremendous driver. And if it had been any other corner around here, I think we wouldn't have minded it being named after him, but the Parabolica has such history there. But you can make a move into that corner, but again, you can get a run out of the Parabolica down towards the start and finish straight.
Such a historic track, such a fun track as well. Deceptively tricky because, you know, usually, John, you'd come here in an open setup competition, you'd try and take off as much of the downforce as you could to maximize your top end speed, but that compromises you through the slower, twistier bits. Fixed setup this time around is going to be a medium downforce configuration. So bit of a balance, bit of a compromise between top end speed and the slow speed sluggishness that sometimes you would get. But again, fixed setup, it means drivers have to tailor their driving to the car itself.
Yeah, and because of that, we might see the slipstream effect even more prominent than it normally would be around Monza. And as you say, Monza is deceptively difficult because it has quite a straightforward looking layout with lots of straights and simple corners, nothing too dynamic. But actually, because the braking zones are so long for these high-speed straights and slow corners, it means that getting your braking point right is going to be really tricky, because if you're maybe 5 meters, 10 meters later on the brakes, that is going to turn into many more meters when you actually get to the apex. And I think a lot of people don't realize just how difficult heavy braking zones are in terms of lap time, and knowing what, you know, especially when these drivers don't have the time to prepare like they normally would. So it is a challenge. It maybe doesn't look as difficult as some other circuits, but trust me, Monza will catch out even the best drivers.
And you say this is the traditional championship showcase, Paul, for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. I noticed that you didn't get an invite to the special finale last year.
Yeah, well, first of all, we had COVID restrictions. Secondly, some of us have a full-time job to work, so unfortunately I wasn't invited out to Hockenheim for the finale along with Sadekist. But my goodness, again, they put on a tremendous display and a tremendous show. Do these Porsches around here, and certainly it's the first opportunity I'm getting to see of the 992 in action around here. Okay, it's fixed setup, so we're not going to have the same sort of action as you would see in the World Championship Series, but certainly we're going to get some really close, fast action. There's going to be dicing, there's going to be a little bit of bump drafting going on there. I think one of the key things will be if one of the nations manages to get all their drivers moving up and together as a group, you can then start freight training people out of the way and just work your way through as a group together. So we'll see if a nation can do that and try and work their way through as a team.
This 911 992 Cup car, the new generation, very much a mini GT3 cars in some ways. I remember earlier this year when it got its full competition debut in North America. That was the weekend of the Sebring 12 hours, and the lap time comparison between the full-fledged GT3 cars and this Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, which doesn't have ABS, doesn't have traction control, a little bit less downforce, almost identical, maybe a second, half a second here or there when you compare the very quickest pro drivers in the 911 Cup car versus, you know, the GT3s, which are Pro-Am drivers in IMSA WeatherTech sports car competition. So really is a dynamic challenge, one that, if you ask me, is well suited to the Nordschleife and the challenges that presents. And there's also a new era of GT3 competition that is coming forward. You have IMSA, which is really embracing that as the top level of GT sports car competition. They'll have GTD Pro in addition to the regular GTD class next year. Manufacturer support in GTD Pro. Of course, rumors that GT3s will head to Le Mans in a couple of years, as well as GTLM winds down. We have had a couple of new GT3 cars added to the iRacing service over the past 12 months, the likes of the Lamborghini Huracan, the Ferrari 488 Evo, the Porsche 911 GT3R. John, as someone new to the RaceSpot TV commentary booth, it's time for me to ask the question that I ask basically everyone when I talk about GT3 cars. If you had to pick one GT3 car to add to iRacing, which one are you picking?
Oh, that is, you've absolutely thrown me on the spot there. I do love driving some of the older GT3 cars, like the old Jag that we've seen in the likes of ACC. They've got a lot of character to them. The V12 Aston Martin as well, incredible sound. But I'm talking, these are old school GT3s. You know, iRacing won't be bringing in any old GT3s anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, the thing I love about GT3s in general is just the variety that you've got, and that every different car has its disadvantages and advantages in different areas. So some might be better on the brakes, some might be better through the high-speed corners, and because of that, it means so many manufacturers get involved, and I'm really looking forward to seeing, you know, if that does come into fruition at the likes of Le Mans. You know, we're going to have so many more manufacturers fighting out at the top, so it doesn't really matter what cars come in, to be honest. I just love trying them all and seeing where they differ.
What about you, Paul? Personally, I'm a fan of the Boatley. I also love Godzilla, the Nissan, Nismo GT-R. I wouldn't say no to a Callaway Corvette, the GT3 Corvette spec car that only ran in Europe.
I mean, for me personally, I am partial to an Aston Martin, let's be honest. It is such a beautiful vehicle. 2014, I actually got to have a guided trip around the Aston Martin, to see the Aston Martins being built by ProDrive down at the facility. It was at their old factory, not the new factory that they've got down in Banbury now. But still, it was a tremendous facility, and seeing the level of detail that those cars go through, and just the minutest little details that they go to, even things as getting the body shells come through from Aston Martin, and they're cutting out any bits of glue that's that's overflown, taking every little gram out of that car. It was just unbelievable to see those vehicles being built and then prepared in the race bays as well. Certainly a tremendous thing. And if you do ever get the chance doing the tour around ProDrive, I thoroughly suggest it.
I'm not going to lie, when I think of ProDrive, I think of rally cars.
Well, I get that as well because obviously the late 90s, but I also think of the GT1 ProDrive efforts,
yeah,
the old Astons and Corvettes, the Ferrari they had before the Aston Martin as well.
Yep.
Just some phenomenal machinery, and I think that GT racing has come such a long way in terms of the amount of manufacturer input that we actually have these days, but it all stemmed from those amazing, incredible GT1 cars from the late 90s that kind of brought the passion to GT racing.
Did you know that with that Ferrari, one of the engineers woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, rang up one of the legal team and went, "Can you look in the rule book to see if we can cut anything out of the engine block?" And they looked through the rule book, and no, there was no rules about it, and they cut little notches out of the engine block just to get the engine a bit further in towards the centre of the car. That's the level of detail that those teams go to.
The GT1 days were some pretty spectacular cars, but I think you're right, John, that the level of GT competition has just come so far, and now it's not just the big guns that can go out there and do it, right? It's really a customer class. That's the way that it was first initially sold. Now it's a little bit more manufacturer-backed, and that's why the costs have kind of risen up. That's why GT4 has come into the play as well to provide an entry point for, the gentleman drivers to jump into sports car open competition. But it's crazy to think how ubiquitous sports car racing is now around the world. I was watching Macau a couple of weeks ago when you had GT3 cars racing around there as well.
Yeah, just the variety of manufacture gives it a global presence, and I think the amount of cars that are available for customers, even in GT3, I know GT4s are kind of the entry-level point, but almost because of GTEs, it's allowed GT3s to kind of spread their wings a little bit, and more different teams across the globe are having these cars, and it means that, someone racing in a series in Asia could also go and compete somewhere in Europe or somewhere elsewhere across the globe. Even DTM are using GT3 spec cars now, so yeah, GT racing has, as I say, come a long, long way in the recent decade.
Yeah, let's not talk about DTM and GT3 cars, though, because let's be honest, it would be much better if they weren't using GT3s.
Yeah, that's going to hurt a few feelings, and I agree with that. But yeah, now is the time to celebrate GT racing, and we're going to have some excellent Porsche 992 competition coming up at Monza. And yeah, I'm going to just love sitting back and watching this while you guys take us through it, because it is going to be exciting.
Still got a couple of minutes, though, before we get ready to rumble for the final race of the day. Paul, you say this is your first time getting to see this car in some competition. Have you ever driven it?
I have driven it, and it does drive a little bit different to the 991. And okay, I don't profess to ever be the best Porsche driver, which is why I talk about it rather than race it. But becoming a bit of a theme of my my racing career. But yeah, this 992, I think it's a little bit more forgiving. It's got a bit more aerodynamic downforce. The front tyres are actually a bit wider than the old 991 car, so it gives a little bit more mechanical grip as well. But as Jamie Fluke, when we interviewed him, the inside front wheel going into a braking zone, it just locks up that little bit easier, so you've got to be careful with your brake application. It does mean that it gives you plenty of opportunities. If you're a demon on the brakes, if you're the last of the late brakers, then you've got a great opportunity.
And so for this final race of the day, remember all 4 drivers from the 8 teams that we'll be seeing out on track do have to race. And of course, like we saw in race 2, accumulating the points is going to be vital because they all start from 0 once more. It's a clean slate for all 8 countries here today. And a reminder as well, follow along VCO Esports Cup of Nations Sim to stay up to date with the latest news for Cup of Nations action. You can also follow the wonderful content that the team is producing behind the scenes from all of the exciting racing we're seeing here today. Shout out to iLiveries and Juan for the excellent paint schemes that we've got for all of the cars. 16 liveries per car to represent the countries here today. John, let's get some predictions then as we start to wind towards the race itself. 8 teams will be whittled down to 2 countries that advance to tomorrow's finals day. No matter how you shake it, it's going to be some sort of surprise. Now, which way does the surprises go in your mind?
Well, that's a guess, isn't it, really? Because as you say, no matter what you predict, something is going to happen that you don't expect. And if I'm being scientific about this, I've got to say USA are looking really good. They're in the best starting position. They've shown the best form so far. It's just a question of can they hold their nerve. I think the battle for second might well be the point of contention. And I think that, especially if the teams have got one driver up the front doing a good job, it's going to be all about how those second and third drivers actually handle the race. Whether they take more risks, try and make the moves, or whether they're going to be a bit more conservative. It's a really, really tricky one to call. There's plenty of teams looking strong, but I'm actually going to go for USA and Norway to make it through to the finals.
Oh, Norway's a bold call. What about you, Paul? I would agree with John that USA is, if they don't make it, they'll only have themselves to blame, likely, but I'm really torn on that second team.
I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here. I'm going to say that the Netherlands are going to pull this one out of the bag, surprise everyone, and get themselves into tomorrow's action. And the other team, I am going to say, actually, looking at my crystal ball, it's completely imaginary, I'm actually going to say that Norway as well. I think they've got a really good shot at it, and you never say never with them.
Okay, I think I'm going to go with Italy, just to make sure that at least there's some difference. I think Netherlands is not a bad pick. Sam Kuijtert has been quick in the previous generation Cup car. We saw him in some private leagues on the iRacing service in that Cup car on Racebot TV. He's not a bad shout. Norway, Sindre Setsor's currently 3rd in practice. Sam Kuijtert leads the way in practice, by the way, with a 1:48.244. Italy's got a couple of drivers in the top 10. In fact, they've got all 4 of their drivers in the top 10. And all those drivers will, 3 of the 4 drivers for Italy, will be racing this car come the start of February when the 2022 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup gets underway. What should be a thrilling season. But we are ready to go for 15 final minutes here today. I still am shaking a little bit, Paul. If you have the Christian Horner foot tap, I would not be totally surprised for those watching right now, because this is going to be frenetic.
I'm sat back, relaxed, and ready to see it, because this is going to make our lives easy as this race, that's for sure, because it's going to be action-packed. We won't need to create the excitement in the commentary box. You'll see it right there on screen.
Sam Kuijtert, by the way, is actually going to be in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, so fastest in practice. Watch out for Kuijtert here as we get set for the final grid of day 1 in the 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. Let's turn up the most famous song in all of esports. Let's get ready for 15 final minutes of action here today. And so here's a look at the grid. No silver scrapes on cue today. That will be tomorrow for the final. It will be Phil Denez, Jarl Tyen on the front row of the grid. USA and Norway with Lucas Pedasta and Sam Kuijtert, Czech Republic and the Netherlands 3rd and 4th. Moreno Sorica, David Toth 5th and 6th positions. While down in 7th, there will be Ludwig Giddy and Bo Albert on row number 4. Elvis Rankin and Kenneth Gulbrandsen will line up in 9th and 10th positions. Martin Stefanko and Oscar Koper 11th and 12th for the Czech Republic and the Netherlands. Alessandro Bico and Norbert Leitner 13th and 14th, with Sasha Gorla and Jaden Ladek 15th and 16th. Dallas Patasco, winner in race 2, now starts in 17th alongside Sindre Setsos. 19th and 20th will be Philip Schiff for the Czech Republic and Ruben Bonga with those bonga drums back in 20th. Simona Maria Marcheno 21st alongside Laszlo Shabsbo. Jonathan Poulet, Griffin Gardner through the top 24. Ross Banfield, Oscar Bixrud 25th and 26th, with Martin Siratek and Yuri Kastorp 27th and 28th, with Dino Lombardi, Christoph Kerkes on row 15. Final row of the grid. Lots of work for Kenny Roosens and Dylan Burst to do. They'll round out the 32 cars ready to rumble here. Paul standing start as well. So this is going to be a test of how much practice these drivers have done of a standing start.
Yeah, and there's no traction control in these cars at all. They do not get any assistance off the line. So if you get a bad start... Oh, and by the way, the clutch as well. If you burn out your clutch, you're going to be sat there like a duck on the track whilst everybody else comes flying past you.
Just a couple of seconds to go as the drivers get ready to race. Still waiting for Alessandro Bico, I think might have missed the grid here. So for Italy, already on the back foot. The lights come up, the engines rev. We are ready to go for 15 minutes here at the Temple of Speed. Dinez gets a good launch, as does the Italy car. Moreno Sorica already up a couple of positions, thundering down into turn 1, the Reto Filio. Can we survive? Can we get through cleanly what is always a trouble spot? Dinez keeps the race lead, sweeps around, and there's the trouble. Czech Republic makes contact with Australia, and it's an absolute palaver in turn number 1.
Palaver is the right word there, that's for sure. And, well, somebody got a bit ambitious on the brakes into there. It always checks up into turn 1. It always goes slow. Look at that move to the inside of the De La Roja into second place there for Sam Kuitert. Brilliant move from the Netherlands driver. Well, he's moved himself up into second place, but Phil Dinez trying his best to try and make a breakaway.
Oh!
We've got more spinners in the background. That's Norway.
That's Sindre Setsos out of the Roja. More trouble for him as... Is that Simona Mira Marcheno running a little bit wide? Yes, it is, being chased down by Sasha Gorle. Dallas Patasca's up the field as well. Marcheno plus 15 from where he started this race, up into the top 6. That is incredible.
It's showing the experience, isn't it, in these types of cars. Simone, very, very quick driver in a GT-style car. He didn't get to show it. And, oh, the Hungaroringers! Speaking of Hungary, there goes a car around. And Phil Dinez, what's happened to him? Has he got a slow down penalty?
It must be, because Dinez is down to 5th and continues to drop, as slowing on the right side of the track on the entry down into the Parabolica. Hopefully he's finally cleared that. He's down to 6th position right now. Won a lap number 1, and we still got probably 6 or 7 laps to go. Oh, Belgium's around. Kenny Roosen loses the control of his car through the Parabolica. New race leader, Sam Kuitert, who is 3 abreast for the race lead. This is insanity to kick things up, and Moreno Sorica powers his way to the front of the field.
Sorica, he's a World Championship driver. He knows what it takes to drive this type of car, and he is very experienced. He'll have been putting in plenty of time. There's more bumping and banging, there's paint swapping going on in your mid-pack. Italy getting bullied out of that one. But yes, Sorica, he is well versed in this type of car. He'll be putting plenty of time in as well for this vehicle, as well as Jaltian now for Norway, moving up into second place.
Oh!
There's a car out of control. It's Australia. Bo Albert. Can he keep out the way? Yes, he can. Incredible.
Wow. Oh, and he's reset to pit lane. He's taking the tow. So is that conceding the race here? Is that for Australia confirmation that basically they know they are out of the chance of a top 2 position? They were fourth in the live points across the line. As it stands right now, it's Italy and the Netherlands 1 and 2 in the points. USA is not far behind, but they're going to need some of their drivers, the likes of Ross Banfield, to get a move on at this point in time.
I don't think I've ever heard that type of noise come out of your mouth before. the drama that's going on. This is incredible racing, it must be said. But yeah, we've lost Bo Albert, Lucas Podestat as well, and Ludwig Gidi. So those three drivers are all out of this race. They've gone back to the pits. They are done for the day. Oh, take a breath, everybody, because this race will be giving us plenty more. And look at Sarika at the front.
Pulling away, but Koiter side by side with Tien. Here comes Marceno trying to make it in Italy, 1 and 2. Can he get 1? Yes, I think you'll get past the Norwegian, but Koiter covers him off. Italy sitting pretty 1 and 3 right now. Sam Koiter, new recruit to Urano Esports, up in second, as well, almost 3 abreast on the entry down the field. Pataska is to the inside of one of the Norwegian cars. Excuse me, no, that's Ross Banfield further down the field at 16th position. Rankin and Pataska, the other USA cars, are in the top 10 and not far behind Philip Schiff for the Czech Republic. For the USA, they're starting to come on strong now.
Oh, that was a bit of a bump, and Bixrud, not one to be bullied, he is going to be staying ahead of Banfield for the time being. How good do these cars sound, by the way, these new 992 cars? Absolutely sensational, these Porsches. Pataska round the outside of Lesmo 2, and he's battling with Bicos, Alessandro Bico, trying to make some moves forward here for Italy.
As it runs now, Italy and USA in the top 2. 5 points separate USA and Netherlands. So Pataska cannot afford to get bullied by the Williams Esports driver of Alessandro Bico. He'll hold on for now, but the gap to his USA teammate up front is about 1 and a bit seconds. So Elvis Rankin has managed to pull away from Pataska, who's working his way through Ascari. Incredible start to this race, and a reminder, 10 minutes to go. There's not much time for these drivers to figure out what they need, Paul, to make sure they advance.
Basically, if you're driving in this race, you just need to get as far up the field as you possibly can and hope that your teammates have done their bit as well. It's I like to use this line a lot in my work. It's the old Bill Belichick thing. Do your job. And we've got one of the USR cars. Banfield is onto pit road.
Now, what happened there? It's Philip Schiff is on the grass and slides his way into turn 1. We'll promote a whole heap of contenders up through the field. That's going to change around the point situation. That's the Belgium car, Sasha Gorley, that now leads the way from Elvis Rankin right behind him, the young 14-year-old for the Apex Racing team, hunting him down as through Curva Grande into the Rogia. Gorley tries to cover him off, but Rankin will slip it down the inside and has to tuck back into line. He can't afford to lose too much time by battling side by side.
This is brilliant. Marceno and Sarika first and second place. A little squeeze there, and Kirkus gets actually forced off the track, has to take the cut across the inside. Oh wow, that means that Dino Lombardi moves up into 17th now in this field. Italy are looking very strong so far.
Next, or rather I should say, new points update. Netherlands back into second. They are 7 points clear from the USA after Ross Banfield had to come down onto pit lane. It means that for Dinez, for Rankin, for Pataska, they have to make sure they work their way up the field. Bonga and Pataska are battling for 10th position. Those are vital points between the two teams, the two countries battling for second place, the final place that will advance to tomorrow's finals.
This is absolutely tremendous stuff as we go through in towards the Parabolica side by side. Norway versus Australia then onto the brakes into the Michele Alboreto corner. Parabolica to me and you. Through they go, and it's all about carrying the speed out that corner, running that wide line, and the Australian there getting a good run, getting a little bit of slipstream.
Yuri Castor down on pit road. Oh, Alessandro Bico's almost lost it on the entry to the braking zone. That's surely going to be a slowdown penalty. Dinez will take some valuable points from that. But with Castor down on pit road, it does mean Ross Banfield might get some points. The point situation is blown wide open once more.
Oh, it's all about where Castor comes out of pit road then. Does he come out ahead of Banfield, or will Banfield get the jump on him? I'm keeping an eye on my timing screen here as still battling, trading paint going on, and that's not the service, that's them actually swapping paint out there on track. These cars are doing incredible to see around here.
Biko having that issue in turn 1 has promoted Dinez up to 3rd, Rankin's up to 7th. They'll get more points as a result of that. We're waiting now for the final, the new point situation. USA is back into 2nd, 13 points clear of the Netherlands.
And this is what we expected to see, isn't it? With this playoff, this is what this is the excitement that we expected. This is what we wanted to see here. And my goodness, they're doing a tremendous job. Even though the majority of cars are in single file, they're all pretty close together to each other. And, well, we're seeing the 2-3-1 of Sam Coulter needs to move forward, needs to get ahead of Yaltien, needs to get ahead of Phil Dinez to try and get the Netherlands more points, but also take away points from the USA.
Here comes the draft on board with Coulter as he looks to the inside. He doesn't have the draft, but he's got the momentum heading down into the Retophilia. Last of the late breakers it will be. Tien gives the position up, doesn't want to fight too hard and lose the cars in front of him, and the draft that we've got. Also side by side is Oscar Bixrud, the second of the Norway cars, looking to the inside of Philip Schiff. Will make the move happen, but again, it is very much a three-way fight right now between Italy, USA, and the Netherlands. Norway's not too far behind, but crucially, it's 14 points between the USA and the Netherlands, a further 13 back to Norway.
It certainly is. Norway, the outside hope. Really, I would say it's between USA and the Netherlands right now, because Italy being in 1st, 2nd and 9th and 16th are giving themselves a tremendous opportunity. Ross Banfield has just lost a position to David Toth, although he's getting that back on my timing screen. Those two are battling it out, and it is Toth who actually gets ahead of Banfield.
So that will be a couple of points stolen away from the USA, but it's only 1 point. So now it's 10 points between the USA and the Netherlands. Because Coulter got past Tien, he's now chasing down Dinez. It's all going on. 4 minutes, 30 seconds to go. As that's one of the Italy cars to the inside of Belgium. That's Alessandro Biko getting past Sasha Gorley. Here comes the Bonga drums. Ruben Bonga looks to try and close the gap to Team USA as well.
Dinez at the front, going side by side with Marcheno in towards the Parabolica. He's not going to get that done there, but he can get the cut back here, getting that slipstream, get the better run out of the Parabolica and down the start and finish straight. We've got more battling going on here. You don't know where to look here. And crucially, this is the Netherlands now. Bonga moving forward ahead of Goa.
Basically, I have no idea how things are shaking out right now. All I know is that as Dinez is up into 2nd, it's close between the USA and the Netherlands. Dinez squeezes Marcheno, opens the door for Coulter to follow him through. Marcheno gets bullied out of the way. He may now lose another spot because the Norwegian car has a whole bunch of momentum. Left-hand side is the battle for 1st. Right-hand side, battle for 8th, where Biko Bonga does a crucial points for if the Netherlands can get on past Italy.
Oh, Marcheno just dropping down, and well, he's managed to slot himself into 4th place then. But this is tremendous to watch. Hope you're all enjoying this at home, because we are in the commentary box. This is fantastic stuff, and you don't know where to look. When it's a team event like this, you just do not know where to look.
Reminder. Portugal, Germany, UK, Japan, Poland, France, Spain, Russia already have advanced. As we take a look at the points once more, it is 10 points still. Dinez is up to 2nd, but Coulter followed him through, so the gap didn't open up like they would have wanted. It is going to take a miracle, I think, for the Netherlands to steal this away from Team USA, who, remember, Paul, won each of the first 2 races, didn't, though, have the team performance, especially in race number 2, that they would have wanted. Had to come to this playoff with all the pressure on them.
One of the Australian cars taken to the grass on the exit of the Ascari chicane, and also another one of the Australian cars making a move. That's Ladic on Rankin. So Elvis Rankin losing a position there for Team USA, and he's got the hard charging Alessandro Biko right behind as well. That could be more points lost for USA if he's not careful.
So Coitert, Bonga, those are the top two running Belgian cars. Koper's down in 13th. They're three abreast as they dive in towards turn number one. The Reto Filio ready to greet them. Last of the late breakers, Rankin cannot afford to get bullied off the track. He can afford to lose 1 or 2 positions, but the Bonga drums are right behind him now. These are valuable points because I think it is neck and neck now between the USA and the Netherlands.
As Philip Schiff has had an issue out there and he's around and try to keep out of the way of his teammate there, but look forward. It's basically the battle for first and the battle for sixth is where things could be won and lost here in this race. And look at that clock. Look at the time remaining here, Arjuna. We're nearly at the end of this race.
It should be 1 lap to go after this one, right?
Well, the lap times are 1:49.
Marceno's working his way up the hill in towards Ascari now. I think we'll have 1 more lap. It'll be close. I do think we're looking at 1 more. So the point situation now is 6 points in favor of the USA. Coitert, Bonga, Koper, they need to launch assaults. Pataska and Koper, USA versus Netherlands there. Rankin and Bonga, USA versus Netherlands there. Denez and Coitert, USA versus Netherlands there. It's all on the line. 1 more lap here in Monza.
Oh, Sarika, though, he's under pressure at the front of the field. Denez was right up behind his rear wing. This is the run, but look at that car in 3rd place. Coitert right now for the Netherlands. He's going to get the best run of the 3 of them because he's got the slipstream from 2 cars. Denez to the left-hand side. Coitert, where does he go? Well, he's trying to follow Denez. He's going to get boxed in here.
Can Denez get this under control? Can Sarika hold on? Sarika's going to get pushed wide just like we saw with Marceno. Coitert gets the launch, but they're neck and neck heading down through Curva Grande. I think Coitert will hold this one.
Oh, I don't know. Denez will push and push. He realises how important this is. So too does Sam. Now it's a question of, do you want to be the car leading down towards the Parabolica on the last lap?
I think you do. I think you need to control your own destiny there. Coitert gains the race lead, but side by side, Denez up and under through the Roger. What a move! Phil Denez back to the race lead. Oh, one of the Netherlands
cars is around. Ruben Bonga is around. I saw him dropping down my timing screen, and that is huge for the Netherlands.
Well, I can tell you that coming through Curva Grande, Netherlands were 4 points in front. I think Bonga's issue has handed this on a golden platter to the USA. Phil Denez can't afford to fight here. He needs to stay in 2nd position.
Well, he won't be. He might be getting this information. He might not, but he wants to win. Phil knows one thing, and that's go fast and win.
Well, here we go, running down into Parabolica for the final time. Playoffs are about to be decided. Sam Coitert has the inside. Phil Denez will sweep around the outside, get the power down just that little bit earlier, but Coitert's a nose in front. Get your cameras out. This will be a photo finish once more in the day 1 of the 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations. It's neck and neck, but I think Sam Coitert does hold on the line to win this playoff race, but it will be Italy and the USA heading through to the finals tomorrow to fight for $25,000.
This felt like a Royal Rumble right here. That's
it's not over.
It's not over indeed. USA pushing cars wide, and the Czech car is around. That's Siratek.
Well, at least I think the important thing there is at least Ross Banfield is still alive, because the points that he would have gained, yes, for a 24th place finish, will be crucial. As it stands right now on the live points that we've got, 9 points the gap between the USA and the Netherlands. We'll get confirmation as soon as we can from race control, as across the line the rest of the USA cars come. Here's what happened to Ruben Bonga. Pushing too hard, mounts the curbs, clatters the curbs. And that's a self-inflicted mistake, just assisted around when he was already sliding sideways.
Yeah, there was very little that the Australian car could do there, but he tried to carry too much speed through the De La Rogia, got over the curb on the outside, touches the gravel, and around he goes.
Here's a look at the results then after a 15-minute sprint. Paul Smith calls it a Royal Rumble. I would tend to agree with him. Sam Coitert at the line. 1/100th of a second between him and Phil Denez, the two teams that were fighting for the final of the transfer positions to the finals. It will be Denez and the USA going on through. Moreno Sorica for Italy in third, with Jaltain in fourth for Norway. Two more Italy cars down in fifth and sixth. Simone Maria Marchena was running up in second, got bullied a little bit, holds on to a top five, while Alessandro Bico sits in sixth. Jaden Laydick for Australia gets a good result for him, as well as his teammate Dylan Burst down in ninth, while Elvis Rankin is the meat in the sandwich. They're down in 8th position. Sasha Gorla rounds out the top 10 for Belgium, about 7 seconds off the race winner. Down in 11th, it was Dallas Pataska, the third of the USA cars. Crucial for him, while Oscar Koper for the Netherlands down in 12th. Dino Lombardi 13th for Italy. The Norwegian duo of Oscar Bixrud and Sindre Setsos 14th and 15th positions, with Griffin Gardner down in 16th. Christoph Karakis for Hungary in 17th, with Jonathan Poulet 18th. Ruben Bongo with that late race mistake coming through the Roger drops down to a 19th position. Those might have been the crucial points that handed USA the transfer to Sunday's showdown. Philip Schiff for the Czech Republic completes the top 20, while down in 21st position it was Norbert Leitner. For Hungary, Yuri Kastorp in 22nd, along with David Toth for Hungary. Ross Banfield 24th, not the easiest of days for him after coming down onto pit road, but at least a couple of points that would have been vital in the playoff fight. Kenneth Gulbrandsen 25th, Laszlo Shazbo 26th, while three Czech Republic drivers at the tail end of the top 30, 27th, 28th, 29th, Martin Stefanko, Martin Siratek, and Lucas Podesta. Ludwig Giddy in 30th was 2 laps down for Belgium, while the final two cars, Kenny Roosen, also fellow Belgian driver, as well as Bo Albert, who really can't buy any luck, it would seem, at this point in time. We wave goodbye to 6 of the teams from here, because 8 started, 2 going straight into the finals day. And Paul and I need to catch our breaths here, John. I think you were watching on in just bated breath for what we saw there.
Well, yeah, I'll give you guys a bit of a break, because, I mean, trying to unpack that, wow. You think it's going to come down to the last race and, or the last few laps, and part of you goes, well, maybe, the gaps will be big enough, it'll be okay, but no. It came down to the last lap, and I couldn't believe it, sitting there seeing USA, Netherlands, USA, Netherlands, and USA, Netherlands across 3 different battles. Interestingly enough as well, if Bonga hadn't made that mistake in the last lap, it would have come back to the finish line, and that 1/100th of a second win would have made the difference for Netherlands qualifying. That's how close it was. If Bonga wasn't pushing as hard, it would have been the Netherlands going through by 100th, which I just can't believe that. It's ridiculous. And it just comes back to what we were saying before. It's not just about the first driver, it's about the second, third, and fourth driver. Bonga, of course, was doing everything he could to make the move on the USA there, and I think, to be honest, the brief for the Netherlands going into the last lap was try and catch your USA opponent, overtake them, and you would go through. So he was clearly trying everything, pushed a bit too hard and made the mistake. But in hindsight, if he hadn't have done it, Netherlands might have been in the semi-final.
Crazy format. Let's take a look then at the confirmed, or I should say pending review, but unofficial points from the playoffs. Italy and the USA. They'll be heading in to the showdown tomorrow. As it stands, we'll wave goodbye to the Netherlands, to Norway, Australia, Hungary, Belgium, and the Czech Republic. I said there would be a couple of surprises here, Paul. For teams like the Netherlands, Norway, and Australia, lots of established top-level iRacing competitors. We've also seen strong pace from Hungary, Belgium, and the Czech Republic. So all 6 of those teams could have done it if luck had gone their way.
I think the Netherlands finishing 3rd place in that playoff there is a tremendous effort, considering that they had to have a last-minute change of team literally this morning. So, plans would have had to have changed, and team lineups would have had to have changed. And, Oscar Koper, who came in to cover for Martin, certainly wouldn't have had the amount of practice that the others would have done of just doing general sort of laps and working together as a team. So I would say, Netherlands can't be too disheartened by that. They'll be disappointed at being the first of the teams not to make it through to the finals day tomorrow, but they should be very pleased at being able to be so competitive still with such a late change.
And what a start, I have to say. Just shout out to Simone Maria Marchena. Started outside of the top 20. 2 laps in the books, he's up to 2nd. Really took full advantage. And we expect chaos in turn 1. It looks like it was going to be okay for a moment there, John, and then it all kicked off as they came through the second part of the Retophilia.
It did, yeah. There was a little bit of contact in the first one. We saw 3 or 4 cars around, but that's kind of inevitable with Monza. You know, it would be almost a guarantee that you'll have at least 2 cars facing the wrong way. It did begin to kick off the second half of the lap, and that's just as drivers were beginning to try and establish themselves in the race, trying to obviously fend off, because in the first few laps of a race, that's where you're going to be able to make most of your moves and you're going to lose most of your positions. But yeah, as you say, Italy, wow, phenomenal performance by those guys, and it's obviously working well for them at their home track. They were able to just surge through the field at the start, maintain it throughout, and yeah, they've basically waited until the last race of the day to really pull it out of the bag, and now they're on a level playing field with everyone else heading into day 2.
We should tell you as well that the USA, Netherlands and Italy, the top 3 in the playoffs, all have some sort of incident investigation going on by race control right now, so we have to say those points were provisional, but I think no matter what happens, Paul, I think Italy is probably the most comfortable of them. Now the question is, for the USA, if they do get penalties, is it going to be severe enough to drop them behind the Netherlands? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, keep abreast of the social media Cup of Nations sim on Twitter for any updates to any final results here. But yeah, definitely Italy will be feeling, I think relieved will be the word for them. They will be delighted to have made it through, but they wouldn't want to have taken it to that last race. But what a place for them to qualify, Monza.
Home track advantage, I think that's for sure. That's what we saw, for example, at the Brickyard with our Indy Pro 2000 race. Let's talk about the format before we start to wrap things up, and hopefully we'll get confirmation of the playoff standings before we say goodbye to you. Day 1 is done. The group stages, the playoffs. The showdown has been set. 16 teams whittled down to 10 countries. They'll start with one race, the semi-finals, where they'll go head-to-head with one another. 5 matchups there. 5 winning teams advance directly through to the final. Then there will be a last chance showdown where all 5 teams that had lost their semi-finals will go up against one another, very similar to what we've just seen here today, John, to build up the grid for the final, where we will see 7 countries going head-to-head across 4 different races, different disciplines, different cars, and ultimately, once the points have been reset, once the 4 races are done and dusted, we'll pay out $10,000 to our winning team. They'll be crowned the 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations Championship presented by VCO.
Absolutely, and if you think today's racing was crazy, wait until we see what's coming up tomorrow, because there's not as much time to make up for mistakes tomorrow. You've got to be on it from the get-go, especially in the semi-final with those heads-to-heads. And we could see, you know, the team scoring the second most points actually being knocked out of that section and having to do it all in the next one. So it is going to be absolutely frantic. I do believe we have confirmation of the playoff points as well, so those results do look final, and it will be Italy and USA going through, and they will be just so excited to be able to put themselves in the mixer for tomorrow. A really interesting thing Paul said earlier during the Indy race, it's like you throw all the teams in a blender and whichever names come out, they're the ones that are going through. Well, tomorrow is going to be a little bit like that, and it's about who can adapt the quickest to any instance happening and who can have the best pace overall.
It is indeed confirmed, so Italy and the USA will make up 2 of the 10 countries that have worked their way into day 2, the finals day for this Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. The other countries, Paul: Portugal, Germany, UK, Japan, Poland, France, Spain, Russia, of course joining Italy and the USA. We are in for a treat across 6 races tomorrow. If you thought tonight was fun, just wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's where the big money is paid, and the drivers will get a bit more desperate, I feel, to be able to get themselves some share of that prize fund. Of course, $10,000 to the winning country for them to share amongst themselves. Nice weekend's work, that really, if you think about it.
Yeah, not bad. John, great to have you here for this Cup of Nations, first time with us at RaceBot TV. Just recap what we've seen here today. Some great racing, some chaotic racing, but ultimately this Cup of Nations format, it's so fun, so exciting, and so dynamic. I think that's the one thing that we don't see in any other sim racing tournament that I've ever seen.
Absolutely, yeah. Massive thank you to you guys for having me on as well. I've thoroughly enjoyed my first experience of the Cup of Nations, and I knew it was going to be an exciting event, but when you think of the fact there's going to be 3, 4, 5 races throughout a day, day. You always think there'll be some that are exciting, some that are a little bit more boring. Not at all. It was pure chaos and carnage from the get-go, and not in a bad way, in a good way. There was lots of side-by-side racing. Okay, there were some incidents, but fantastic to see throughout the field. So many good drivers racing head-to-head. And every single race that started, I really did think that, you know, this might be the one where things calmed down a bit, but no, it was just kept on coming. The excitement kept on going, and I, for one, cannot wait to return to the booth tomorrow.
Calm down. I don't think that's possible here in these Cup of Nations tournaments. But that's it for day one. What a day it's been. Can't wait. And hopefully you will join us across a VCO, TraxionGG, iRacing social media, and here on RaceBot TV for finals day in the 2021 Benq Mobiuz Cup of Nations presented by VCO. 16 countries whittled down to 10. $25,000 is on the line tomorrow. Hopefully you'll join us for all of the action. We'll start it off nice and early, 3 p.m. UTC here across of all the channels. But for now, for our production team, Hugo Luis, and for Tyler Maxon, for Race Control, Jerome Kaiser and Randy Cheneth working hard behind